The New Smyrna Beach Youth Council Task Force. This official meeting body reviews and evaluates problems facing our city and the youth in our city, discusses ways to enhance and benefit the city, and collaborates on ideas and recommendations to present to the City Commission during the first meeting of May. They will be conducting the first part of the meeting tonight and will be excused before the city manager's report. Thank you for coming. Welcome, one and all.
The regular meeting of the City Commission for Tuesday, May 14th, 2024 may come to order. Please silence all cell phones. City Clerk, please call the roll.
City Commission, Commissioner Martin. Here. Vice Mayor Perrine. Here. Commissioner McGurk.
Here.
Commissioner Hartman.
Here.
Mayor Cleveland.
Here.
And Youth Council, Member Eden Brumall.
Here.
Member Peyton Elkind.
Here.
Member Jeffrey Engel.
Here.
Member Madeline Fisher-Karn.
Here.
Chair Kyla Kavanaugh.
Here.
Vice Chair Piper Lehman.
Here.
Member Abby McCarthy.
Here.
Thank you.
Police Department Chaplain Bill Kitchen will give the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
What a special night, and it calls for a special prayer. Father, thank you for these students up here. We know that our community, our state, our nation is in good shape when we have people like these students up on the stand. So I thank you for them, and I call a blessing on them for you, Father, and on their families, and on the regular commission members who are up here. A blessing, and on the rest of us out here, a blessing. Father, we are blessed. Let us never take it for granted. Pray it in Jesus' name, amen.
New Smyrna Beach High School Youth Council Liaison and Teacher Paul Woodard will lead those present in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City staff, and citizens. My name is Kyla Kavanaugh, and I serve as the chair for the Youth Council Task Force. We would like to outline a presentation for you this evening. First, I would like to introduce the members of the Youth Council Task Force. Vice Chair Piper Lehman, and members Abby McCarthy, Peyton Elkind, Jeffrey Engel, Madeline Fisher-Karn, and Eden Brumall. First, I'd like to go over the Youth Council's mission statement. The Youth Council Task Force serves to review and evaluate problems facing youth in the city, facilitate neighborhood meetings with youth to discuss problems, needs, and suggested improvements for our community. We meet with city staff and directors to collaborate on ideas, discuss issues, concerns, and needed improvements to benefit New Smyrna Beach. And finally, we present recommended improvements with our projects at the City Commission meeting.
So for our first recommendation, we would like to consider the approval of community lending libraries in the following locations: Riverside Park, 27th Avenue Park, New Smyrna Beach Sports Complex, the Mary Avenue Tot Lot Park. And alternate locations would be New Smyrna Beach Pedestrian Trail, specifically the trailhead near Coastal Woods and Detweiler Park.
So our lending library project is aimed towards giving the youth and communities that, and certainly in our community, the opportunity to get books without having to actually drive to a library, especially during summer when many parents are working and have other things going on that they can't go to a library, or they're not in school to get their library, to get a book at the library. So first we met with the Maintenance Operations Director, David Ray, to discuss 6 proposed city-owned locations to house the lending libraries, and the city employs assistance in constructing 2 of the 4 of our lending libraries. We discussed the possibility of partnering with the New Smyrna Beach High School Construction Academy so that they could create our lending libraries and then have other people decorate them for us. And we received similar quotes of about $150 to $200 per lending library. So from each entity we spoke to, and ultimately decided to partner with the city employees.
So these are all of our proposed locations, as well as the New Smyrna Beach Pedestrian Trail, which will be an alternate location if another one falls through. We decided to choose these locations to ensure that we would be able to target the youth where they are most likely present. And specifically 27th Avenue, we decided to include that park to ensure that our project aims to provide support to the whole city, not just the mainland, because this will be the first one of our projects that is on beachside.
For our second recommendation, we met with Commander Walt Frank and Captain Ronnie Jansen from the Coast Guard Auxiliary to discuss the implementation of a youth boater safety course in the city of New Smyrna Beach. We wanted to improve the safety and educational awareness of youth boaters and NSB, as a lot of activities on the water, being right next to the ocean, are common in our city. We plan to host this course in early June, as many students are beginning their summer break during this time.
Yeah. So this project was really important to us because we, as you know, in New Smyrna Beach, water sports and boating is a very big part of our community, and we want to improve the safety of everyone within our community, specifically children, because we know a lot of kids are getting their license and getting on the water, but we want to make sure everyone is being safe. So we would like you to consider the approval of hosting a youth boater safety course at the City Commission chambers.
For our third project, we propose to establish a Youth Boating Safety Day on the third Saturday of every May to align with National Boating Safety Week, which begins on the third Saturday of every May and ends on the following Friday. We hope that the establishment of this day will bring attention to the safety precautions regarding youth boating. Holding this holiday on Saturday will cater to the greatest number of both locals and tourists. If approved, the previously recommended boating safety course could be held on the reoccurring Youth Boating Safety Day. We respectfully request an annual proclamation recognizing the Youth Boating Safety Day.
Through the implementation of this holiday, the Youth Council Task Force hopes to recognize youth boating safety for years to come, not just for this Boating Safety Week, this upcoming Boating Safety Week. The Boating Safety Day being held on the same day as the holiday will gain traction for our course, which will ultimately increase the youth that are able to participate. I personally love sailing with my family, and safety has always been a top priority in my family, but I never felt that a course was tailored to me. I felt that some courses may have been kind of exclusive to just an older population. So holding this course on the same day as the first day of the Boating Safety Week will be very instrumental in providing a course fit for children. So with that being said, we consider the approval of the recommendation 3 of holding the Boating Safety Day on the same day of the first day of the Boating Safety Week.
So in addition to the new projects that we just introduced, we also continued on with the shark statues that the previous youth councils have worked on. So this year we were successful in coordinating with the shark statue artists to select location placements. Each of our artists was asked to send their top 3 location selections to the city clerk, and we were able to place each statue at the artist's preferred first or second choices. So you can see here in the photos, we have 2 of the shark statues. So we have Megan Bosma on the left, whose shark was placed at NSB Municipal Airport. And on the right, we have pictured Laura Johnson's shark, which was placed at the North Causeway boat ramp. Additionally, we have Eliza Midget's shark at Riverside Park, and we have Katie Smith, whose shark has been placed at the NSB Sports Complex. We also have Nancy Connor's shark at NSB Municipal Golf Course. Okay. So this concludes, oh, sorry, there's one more slide. Just one more slide, sorry. Before I conclude the presentation, we just wanted to outline the individuals that we worked with this year. We'd specifically like to thank Mr. Paul Woodard, City Clerk Kelly McKillen, Commander Walt Frank, Captain Rodney Jansen, Maintenance Operators Director David Ray, the Deputy Police Chief Chris Kirk, City Engineer Kyle Fegley, and then all of our artists for the Sharks, Megan Bosma, Nancy Connors, Laura Johnson, Katie Smith, and Liza Midget, and then, of course, all of the commissioners who we are presenting to today. So this concludes our presentation. We are respectfully requesting approval of the following 3 recommendations, and I will form these requests in official motion format for City Commission consideration. So first, is there a motion from the City Commission to approve River 27th Avenue Park, NSP Sports Complex, NSP Pedestrian Trailhead, and the Mary Avenue Tot Lot as locations for the community lending libraries?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, the lending library locations have been approved. Our second request, is there a motion to approve using the City Commission chambers to host an 8-hour boating safety course conducted by the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary for high school students in early June? The date is to be determined by collaboration with the Youth Council, City Clerk, and the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, City Clerk, the roll.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the use of the City Commission chambers to host an 8-hour boating safety course has been approved. And our final request, is there a motion to present an annual proclamation recognizing the 3rd Saturday of every May as Youth Boating Safety Day in New Smyrna Beach?
I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Okay, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The recommendation for an annual Youth Boating Safety Day has been approved.
So for the youth commissioners here and the task force, that's got to feel pretty good. You guys are 3 for 3. This crowd never sees 3 for 3. So congratulations. I want to thank each of the members of the Youth Council Task Force, and the members have collaborated on with various members of the city staff and external agencies under the guidance of our city clerk, receiving necessary direction and consultation required to put their recommendations and ideas into action. As an example of external collaboration demonstrated by our next agenda item, the Youth Council has worked together with members of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary regarding their second recommendation. At this time, I would like to invite the Coast Guard Auxiliary Commander Walt Frank and Captain Rodney Jansen to join the City Commission at the podium and the Youth Council Task Force at the podium to accept a proclamation. Coasties, let's go. City of New Smyrna Beach Proclamation, National Safe Boating Week, May 18th, 2024 to May 24th, 2024. Whereas boating is one of the most popular recreational activities of the residents of this community, and whereas the protection of life, limb, boats, and marine property such as docks, seawalls, etc., is the legal and moral responsibility of every boater. And whereas it is both desirable and necessary to remind all boaters from time to time of their responsibilities and the constant need for safe boating practices and procedures. Now, therefore, I, Fred E. Cleveland, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through May 24th as National Safe Boating Week. and I sincerely urge all boaters and boating organizations to consider this occasion as a special opportunity to renew their determination to use courtesy and common sense afloat at all times. To this end, I urge boating enthusiasts to take stock of their boating habits, procedures, and to correct or eliminate those which may be unsafe, and to check their boats for safe and proper operation, and to make all repairs and replacements where necessary. And whereas, to inspect their boats' safety equipment to make sure that all required items are on board and that all equipment is in a condition to give the safety and protection for which it is intended. To sign up for one of 3 courses in basic boat handling, boat safety, as offered by such organizations as the United States Power Squadrons or the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary or the American Red Cross. To request the United States Power Squadron and or the Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla to give their boats the free courtesy motorboat examination. To respect the rights of other boats and to avoid creating troublemaking, property-damaging wakes and washes, and pledge to continue the spirit of Safe Boating Week throughout the entire boating season. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of New Smyrna Beach to be affixed this 14th day of May, 2024. I've signed it as your mayor, and the clerk, Kelly McQuillan, has attested to it. Congratulations. And there's more. Stay put. The City of New Smyrna Beach proclaims Youth Boating Safety Day on 18 May 2024. Whereas boating is one of the most popular recreational activities for the residents of New Smyrna Beach, and whereas the Youth Council Task Force, in alignment with their mission statement, has recognized a need to spread the word amongst young boaters about the importance of boating safety for the betterment and benefit of the community. And whereas the level of boater safety, knowledge, and responsibility increases when teens are old enough to operate the boats on their own. Young boaters learn safe boating practices by example and through proper training. And whereas raising awareness about the significance youth boating safety can help ensure that young boaters can receive valuable boating lessons by enhancing their navigational skills and maneuvers, therefore creating safer waterways. Now, therefore, I, Freddie Cleveland, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, do hereby recognize the 3rd Saturday in May as Youth Boating Safety Day. The City of New Smyrna Beach, and encourage local businesses, safety organizations, law enforcement, and the citizenry to consider this occasion as a special opportunity to promote youth boater safety in our community. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of New Smyrna Beach to be affixed this 14th day of May 2024. I've signed it as your mayor. Congratulations, Youth Council, you did it. Kyla, you want to accept this? You want to accept this proclamation on behalf of your team? Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank United States Coast Guard Auxiliary for your contribution here today. Thank you guys for being here. One more, commissioners. I'd like to invite Ann Harrell up, please. Right in the center, ma'am. You bet. It's another big one. The City of New Smyrna Beach proclamation recognizing May 20th as Florida Emancipation Day. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on September 22nd, 1862, announcing that all persons held as slaves are free. And whereas, despite the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation, news of the end of slavery in certain regions of the United States was not enforced for more than 2 years afterwards. And whereas, on 20 May 1865, Union Brigadier General Edward M. McCook formally announced President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation from the steps of the Knott House in Tallahassee, Florida, effectively ending slavery in Florida. And whereas the Emancipation Day in Florida is traditionally celebrated on May 20th to recognize the emancipation of African American slaves, as proclaimed in Tallahassee on the 20th of May, 1865, 11 days after the end of the American Civil War, and 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was first issued by President Abraham Lincoln. And whereas these dates are recognized throughout Florida and the United States in celebration of America's commitment to liberty and equality in accordance with the United States Constitution, along with the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Abraham Lincoln on the 1st of January, 1863, and the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which abolished slavery, ratified by Congress on December 6, 1865. Now, therefore, I, Fred E. Cleveland, Mayor of the City of New Smyrna Beach, hereby recognize the 20th of May of each year to be Florida Emancipation Day in the City of New Smyrna Beach, and urge all citizens to honor the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the future to learn more about the resilience and achievements of those who helped shape our nation. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 14th day of May, 2024, and I've signed it as your mayor. Congratulations, Ms. Harrell.
Ms. Harrell, center. Everybody together. One, two,
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Kelly, the proclamation is right there. Perfect. Phil, maybe one more with the proclamation. Congratulations, and I know that'll go of a place of honor in the museum. Thank you so very much. You bet. Okay, I think we're dismissed.
Intermission. Little break.
Okay. And so while we rearrange up here to continue the meeting, we're going to have like a 4-minute recess. So just give us a second. We'll get everything squared away, and we'll be back with the business the rest of the meeting. In the meantime, I'd like to show our appreciation for the city clerk who wrangles this whole thing from start to finish, Kelly McQuillan. Thank you, Kelly. You've done a fantastic job. Mr. City Manager,
Yes, sir.
your report, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening. That was a nice youth council meeting. Our hats off to them for getting 3 recommendations approved in a short time.
Looking forward to you following suit, sir.
We held our monthly parking task force meeting with the consultants. The schedule, the actual project is on schedule. Right now, they're in the data collecting and also on the search for the softwares. In the meantime, I have asked them to look at the parking garage that is proposed, just to make sure that it's within the limits that we have. So they will be looking at that, and hopefully we'll have some kind of report from them at the time that they present the item for you. So this way you have an idea from the consultant standpoint and from the study as well. I met with the staff and also with the county staff regarding the dredging project. This is where they're dredging the sand from the river to the ocean. There is already an existing pipe on Sapphire that they will connect to, but in the meantime, they need a staging area at the AOB site. So we gave them a little section on the west side for them to utilize for staging. Also, the mayor and I met with the mayor of Edgewater and also Oak Hill, as well as the city managers, and also the economic development chairman and vice chairman for the Chamber of Commerce. This is in preparation for the economic summit in June. And we're having another meeting with them sometime probably in the next week or so. I also met with DOT regarding the intersection of Mission and 44. We have submitted this project some time back. It's been probably over 4 or 5 years. There is no funding available at this time, but we were trying to see if we could move this project forward. There will be a right-of-way acquisition needed in order for the turning lane to be provided. So I met with a couple of high-end staff from DOT. We took them out to the site to show them the amount of traffic that we have through that intersection, and also that intersection is probably has the most crashes throughout the city. So it's an important item for us. Also, the deputy or the interim finance director and I met with all the departments on the budget. As we have presented to you the mini budget workshop, the requests are almost $12 million. What we have is probably about between $2.5 to $3 million maximum. So there will be a lot of decisions to be made. We'll present the budget for you at the last meeting in June, and we will have the tentative millage at the end of July and then the workshop in August. But we have met with them and I kind of draw the line of what items that we will be including and not. But in the meantime, when I present the budget in August, I will give you what each item will do to the millage if you want to include that. So we'll give you options to look at. Also, I have mentioned previously that we went to a conference for the FCCMA where the whole conference was about AI. And I wanted to incorporate AI into at least start with the building department for permitting. So we held a conference call, a virtual call with one of the software companies. So they're supposed to provide, some other cities have utilized their software system that we could check with them. But I think it's going to improve the efficiency of the operation. Doesn't mean that you have to get rid of staff, but I think what it will do is will probably shorten the time for the review. I have asked them the question, what happened when the plan is submitted and AI is looking at it? probably the accuracy for it, you're looking about 80%, 85%. So you still have staff to look at it, but it would shorten the time and probably will give some another eye to look at the plan as well. So that's something will be coming up soon. Also, I have attached in the CM report from the FEC on the maintenance for 10th Street. That's something that they do on an annual basis for different ones, but I'm surprised that they're doing this one even though they just had the extension of 10 probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We held a FEMA class in this room for reimbursement. During the natural disasters, we have to utilize quite a bit of forms for reimbursement for staff time and for other projects that we do. So the guy from FEMA was very helpful. All the staff attended. So hopefully that will help our process in terms of reimbursement. The new PIO have created a link for citizens to file if they have any complaints on traffic. So if you look at the city manager report, that link, I have left the .com out of it. So if you go to that link, you're not going to go anywhere. But if you go to the police department's websites and you click on that link, it's working. So my link is not working, but their link is working. We have conducted interviews for finance director as well as CIP manager. So I'm hoping that within the next 2-3 weeks that we will have someone selected. At the last city commission meeting, for public participation, there is no actions on any of the participants. I think it's mostly that they mention about the temporary parking lots. They have made some suggestions, and I think we'll just acknowledge all these. At the next meeting, I'm going to have probably the maintenance operation director and the city engineer to give you a status on the dredging for the canals that we have, the grants and so forth. So at the next meeting, I'll have him right during the city manager report to give you an update on the dredging. Any questions? Be happy to answer.
Any questions for the city manager? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your report. Okay, so it's time for public participation. If there's any citizens who wish to address the commission in a monologue fashion, you'll be given 3 minutes. This is not a dialogue. This is your opportunity to either recognize something outstanding that you see from a city staff member or to identify an issue that you have in your neighborhood you'd like us to know about. So when you come forward to the dais, please, the city manager will be taking notes, the city clerk, and so if you have issues, they will get back in touch with you. So when you come forward, you'll see a green light come on. That'll mean you have 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute to go when the yellow light comes on, and you'll need to be finished when the red light comes on. And so as you come forward, your name and address for the record, please. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm here representing New Smyrna Beach Garden Club, 2000 Turnbull Bay Road. I'd just like some clarification, please, on consent agenda item 7B for the airport construction of the new airport administrative building. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get to that for sure. Dr. Herman.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. I would like to just a few comments on item 8A, which is under administrative items. That is the review again of the 120 Flagler Avenue property. I know it's been on the agenda and has been talked about in many different ways. And apparently the expanded search did not come up with a offer that is acceptable. So it leaves us back to square one, I guess, with the building. Being a resident of Central Beach and having gone to most all the public meetings and community meetings that were done over the years around Flagler, I do think we have some ideas of what we could do with it. So I know you're faced with, do we re-advertise again, or do we repurpose it or use it in a way for the city and the community? And I think there were a lot of really good suggestions, and I'm sure there are notes that Khalid must have from the countless community meetings that people came up with some very good ideas on how to best use that building. As a taxpayer, it's sitting there vacant. It's a valuable property. Obviously, for some reason, it's not valuable to other people, or we would have a viable bid. But I think it's still a gateway building. I think it has great potential for our city, and I would hope that you could look at some of those really good suggestions that were there and would help you as you move forward. And just the last thing, I was very impressed with the Youth Council addressing boating safety. As you know, recently there was a very tragic death of a young woman, and it was on the news. And so I don't really remember in all the meetings I've been that we've really addressed boating safety as a city. And maybe we have, and I don't remember, but I just applaud them for bringing that up and taking it as an important issue. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Dave Reed. I live at 4392 South Seamus Drive, and myself and several of my neighbors and I are here to speak about somewhat of a unique situation. The house that happens to be across the street from us is 4393 South Seamus Drive, and I emailed some materials to you all just prior to the start of the meeting. And in a nutshell, what we have going on is a nearly 100-year plat that has existing property has one single-family residence in the center of the property, has 110 feet of frontage, and that consists of one 50-foot and one 60-foot lot. And it's in the R1 zoning district, which has a minimum of 100-foot lot width requirement. And if the parcel has recently traded hands to an investment group out of Sanford, and they're not communicating with us about what their plans are for the property, but based on the plat, they have the right to divide the property, which would change the face of our neighborhood area. Our surrounding area consists of lots of between 100 and up to 300 feet wide. And the way our neighborhood was developed, it was all platted as mostly 50-foot lots, but everybody developed on 2 or 3 of them throughout the years. There's a stray vacant lot or 2. And would just like to request that enforcing the zoning instead of the plat would be greatly appreciated by us and our neighbors. And it would also, to develop 2 homes on that lot, would require scraping of a significant dune structure, established oak hammock, and everybody from the pizza delivery person to people riding their bike just comment on, wow, what a beautiful neighborhood area this is. And to see the entrance to it scraped would just be a shame, and appreciate your consideration. And if you would like, I could pass out the
Just hand them all to the city clerk. That's fine, sir.
but thank you for your consideration, and y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, David. Appreciate your comments.
My name's Steve Knott. I live at 4391 South Seamist, and I live next door to this property that Dave had just mentioned to you. And to my surprise, I moved here about 12 years ago, and one of the things that attracted me to the home was the oak trees and the lot size. I'm on one of the smaller lots that's 100 by 135. But all the lots are that size or larger. Upon discovering that it was possible that someone might be able to build 2 houses on the one lot, I became concerned, and I went down to the the zoning and planning department and got some education from them. And then at that point, I got even more concerned and spoke to City Manager Reisdorf. And he was very, very helpful, and your staff was very, very helpful and very professional. At one point, we felt like it could be handled administratively, and that it could be stopped, or the house would have been replaced with just another single-family home. In our community, the way houses are aging out, this is something that's going to come up continually over the next decade or so. And it's something that, it's on the radar. Unfortunately, I got back with the city manager, and he said there was a roadblock and there was some sort of, I want to call, legal loophole that was allowing this to happen based on the fact that all these lots were site planned on 50-foot lots, and the lots were combined. This is R1 zoning. It's not what's in the community. In our immediate area, I know the numbered streets have a lot of 50-foot lots, or some, but none in our area. It's a complete out-of-character situation. We're tied into Seawoods. We're on the backside of Seawoods. We have all these magnificent oak trees that unfortunately the builders just seem to bulldoze and start over and start with a clean slate. It's not in keeping with the rest of the community in our street. The rest of my neighbors here, I would encourage them to come up and go on the record also. Vice Mayor Perrine said something at a previous meeting. New Smyrna Beach is truly unique, and one of the most unique aspects of the beach, as far as I'm concerned, is that ridge that our homes are built on with these magnificent oaks, and it's just a shame to let builders come in and do this. What's on 13th and Saxon is horrible, and you all should, I would encourage you to go and see a double lot or single lot that's been divided and built two houses on, and I'm sorry, I'm out of time. A double lot and two houses, and the impact it has on the community. And I would, first of all, I really don't think another two houses should be built on our street. But I think that on infill situations where you have new homes being built around older homes, that you ought to revise and look at the zoning that you have as far as height, footprint, and whatever. I don't think any one of you would like to have two homes like that built 8 feet, 10 feet away from your property line. It's
Thank you for
overwhelming.
your comments.
So,
I appreciate that, sir.
Again,
thank
you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
And again,
thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all your help.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jane Mead. I'm at 4428 Doris Drive. I annexed into the city. My lot is directly across from the said property everyone's talking about. I've been at that house for 21 years. And again, like everybody else, the appeal of buying that house was because it was in such a gorgeous location with these big hammock of trees. And I just want to go on the record that I object to these property to be divided and these two houses put there. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Appreciate it. Anybody else for public participation?
Cindy Radigan from Terra Trail. You all know I've come before this commission many times about the issue in relation to flight training noise. It's ongoing and it's endless. And I know you're all getting ready to, listen to the results of what the recommendations are from the Airport Advisory Board, excuse me, and the Airport Manager's Office based on the most recent noise study extension. It's really sad that the city has had to spend well over $100,000 on noise studies by a company that is set up and designed to make sure that there is no proven noise in relation to flight training. After all, it is all backed and supported by the FAA as it is, and all aviation interests. Well, there are, I've already come here and told you that I've got well over 100 signatures of impacted residents. Not all of them can show up for every single meeting and sit through these endless meetings that go on, and obviously there's a lot of business that you're all having to tend to. I realize that the commission that was in place at the time that the decision was put in place to put a control tower on this airport had absolutely no idea what having a controlled airport would do to this beautiful, quaint, charming little city. And I don't think anyone did this intentionally, but no one's really looking at the problem. They've all been doing everything they can for the last 18 and a half years to avoid and abate the issue. Noise abatement is absolutely necessary. There are so many people that are being gravely impacted. It's impacting our health, our well-being, our quality of life, the value of our properties, to not only to us, but even in the term, what's available today. Something needs to be done, and there needs to be more than 3 minutes to address this commission. There needs to be a special workshop or meeting held and set up so that you can hear from many other residents that they are being impacted and that something more needs to be done. I don't think that anybody had any idea what this would lead to, 18 and a half years ago, but it's intense. And it's difficult to take 500 to 800 planes a day over the roof of your house. And now that they're trying to make efforts to spread the noise around, more neighborhoods are starting to realize it. They're starting to feel that pain. I'm just asking that, regardless of whatever the recommendations are, that the city looks at this and says, wait a minute, there's too much traffic in one area of a neighborhood, one area that's impacted the most.
Appreciate your comments, ma'am.
We
Thank
need
you
to
very
spread
much.
the pain
Appreciate
around.
it. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is James Marvin Bunn Jr. I'm a retired surveyor here in the city. Been here for a number of years and glad to be retired. Again, I'm here with my neighbors about the South Sea Mist property that apparently they want to do a lot split on, but we are really opposed to it. Our neighborhood is, again, like my neighbors said, is large homes on multiple lots, and we just want you to please take a serious look at it and give it a look that certain areas of the city, it shouldn't happen. I know I laid out a lot of those 50-foot lots for Mr. Walters here doing. I think he's the one that kind of started this trend here in the city. But thanks for your time and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Hello, everyone. Doug Mullen from 918 East First Avenue. I'm very concerned about the parking lot going on in 4th and also mainly the height, and just not have a parking garage on New Smyrna Beach, on Beachside. That is something I don't think anyone in this city wants to see, particularly Beachside residents. It's going to change the whole dynamics of this city, and you're not going to be able to just move it. It's going to be there, and if anything goes higher across the street, the Wells Fargo, the lots on the other side, continue change, and the height restriction more than anything else. Police are going to be busy in a parking garage. If there's a car fire in a parking garage, firefighter safety, it is just not a great thing for a beach environment. The flooding, not to mention, it's not really fixed. It's been worked on. The last one was bad. We always flood, and lots of people elsewhere in the city have flooded that never did. And this is just something we should just slow down. And that's all, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate your comments.
My name is Bob Williams, and I'm at 4378 South Sea Mist. We own a home with a 100-foot lot, and we also own an empty lot next door. And I wouldn't consider subdividing my lot. We have a unique neighborhood, and I'd say unique in Florida, and I would sure like to maintain it. That's all I can.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate those remarks.
Hi, Nick Morback. I live at 4429 Doris Drive. So I'm right next to the house that all these guys were talking about. It's going to directly affect me. I moved there because of those oaks. And to me, it's like a sanctuary. If they scrape that land next to me, it's going to be horrible. I could see it happening. They've been scraping lands on Saxon Drive. No trees whatsoever. It's unique. Everybody who walks through there say they can't believe it. There's no place like this in Florida with these trees. So it's going to be horrible. It's going to look bad for the neighborhood. And actually, every single one of these people do not want that to happen. I mean, what's going to happen probably is, if they can build a nice house with, save the trees. There's all sorts of animals and everything living there, and it's a beautiful area. And I'm not telling, but each and every one of you should go there and check it out. Walk through the dirt road, and you'll be like, wow, this is beautiful here. That house will ruin everything. And I hate to put it bluntly like that, but it will. So I hope it doesn't fall on deaf ears, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else for public participation?
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Bunn. I live at 4384 South Seamus Drive. I am here to just publicly announce my objection to any concepts of trying to break apart this existing lot that we've been talking about here. So I do encourage each and every one of you, if you haven't been down that area, it's beautiful. It's very nice and wooded, so I really encourage you. Yes, our pizza persons have trouble delivering there, but we get through it. But anyway, I just encourage you to take a look if you haven't, because it would be extremely disruptive to do what's being considered.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else for public participation? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. For those of you who are watching at home or those of you in the audience that may not know, we get a briefing and a lot of items come across in the briefing package. And so we don't just show up at these meetings and start thinking about what's going on. We get some preparation before we go. The consent agenda is designed for items that are a bit more tertiary and administrative in nature. Occasionally, and a lot of times, this commission would like to dig deeper, and so you'll see that happening. Is there any commissioner that would like to, or the city manager would like to comment on any of the items on the consent agenda? Any comments?
Yeah. Okay. 7E, F, and G.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Then,
go ahead.
Okay. And I also have 7D and 7J.
Yeah, go ahead. Make your comments.
7D.
D.
While I understand
It's the Airport Advisory Board.
It's the Airport Advisory, and my question is, doesn't removing the touch and go increase noise from 5 to 10 p.m. and 7 to 8 a.m.?
Okay, so that's not a comment, that's a question. I plan to pull the item.
I plan to pull the item.
All right, so.
All right.
Any other comments?
All right, 7E, F, and G. My comment is, I am concerned by the length of time these projects are taking, and I would like to see processes in place so that both the construction process is overseen and that there isn't years between communication with the homeowners, because we've got 3 new projects coming along with Idalia and Ian and Nicole. And so I think we need a tighter handle on how these processes are handled.
And Mayor, we had a meeting this afternoon with Commissioner Martin, and we'll provide a whole schedule from this point on, and also increased communication with the homeowners. Period. So. And also we have David Hamstra here from Pegasus in case if you have any further questions. But we'll provide more detail on the process. But just keep in mind, as I mentioned to Commissioner Martin, that dealing with FEMA and FDM, sometimes it puts a break into the process. But again, we will do some more improvements to do that on our side.
Thank you, sir. And for those of you watching, that was 7E, F, and G, all related to the elevated home process that has been ongoing in our city for quite some time. Any other comments on any of the other items?
Yes, I just,
Yes, sir.
a brief comment on the two Pegasus Engineering contracts. My understanding is that these are a continuum of what's already being done and not a whole new contract for a whole new set of homes. That's accurate? Thank you. That's it, Mayor.
All right. Anyone else? I have one comment on the opioid abatement funding program that we're seeking a grant of $135,000 for. The chief has provided each of you a packet and just arrived, and what the breakdown is for that: a vehicle to transport patients, some software to keep a database going, education and training courses, and some hands-free CPR devices and EMS devices on the fire vehicles. So I think that's very helpful. Okay, so we're gonna, any items, who would like to pull an item? Is there any items that'd like to be pulled?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
7D.
7 Delta for sure. Anybody else?
And 7J.
7J. Anybody else? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion, please, to accept, to approve item 7, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, oops, nope, we're gonna pull.
India.
Gonna pull Juliet. Did we say J?
Yes.
That got pulled, okay, J. So, so all the way through hotel.
I'll make the motion to approve as mentioned.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve all those items I read.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, okay, so most of the consent agenda, Mr. Rashadat made it, thank goodness. Okay, here we go. Commissioner McGurk on 7D, you want to lead us?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So, regarding the noise abatement, this is no hit on staff. We did have some public meetings. We had a public meeting here with the expert, with the consultant, and there was an airport advisory meeting on this. However, while staff did what they should have done, I think that this issue needs another public meeting, more specifically notice to the people who are directly affected by the noise. This is one of those things where everybody works, they're busy, they don't necessarily stay on top of every meeting that's going on in the city. So what I would like to do is remove this item today and postpone it until the city can have a public meeting and we can specifically reach out to the people who are affected by the noise and let them know. And win, lose, or draw on this issue, at least we have a public meeting with the general people who have continuously had a problem with the noise, at least have a public meeting to come out, review what the city's saying, and give their input.
Motion to postpone, I've heard. Is there a second to that?
Yes,
A
second.
second, and now we can have some more discussion. Anybody interested in hearing the airport manager tonight, or do we want to save it all? Okay. Arvin, you're spared.
I think, Mayor, if there is any question, Arvin is here, maybe he could answer. I know we'll plan on the public meeting, but just if there's any specific questions, at least we would know what the questions are, so this way we could address them at the next meeting.
Okay, I've got a couple if anybody else cares to. Go ahead, Commissioner Martin.
Okay, looking at, on the background, let's see if I can find the number. It's the recommendation to consolidate, if you would, touch and go and repetitive motion. My concern is that the touch and go timing, the prohibition on touch and go starts earlier than that of repetitive. So removing the touch and go seems to me to increase noise between 5 and 10 p.m. and 7 and 8 a.m. because there's no replacement for that. So that concerns me.
Understand. So, very valid point. Thank you. So if I might explain what the thought process is here. The tower can only fit in so many aircraft in the pattern at a time. So whatever they're doing, whether it's touch and goes, taxi backs, full stop, whatever the activity is, they can only handle so many airplanes.
Yes.
So what the voluntary noise abatement language, we felt, the consultant felt too, and the advisory board felt, when we put all of that information together, we felt that that additional statement is just adding to the confusion. It's confusing residents, it's confusing pilots, because people are looking out the window and they're saying, well, I didn't think airplanes could be doing this, flying over my house over and over again. But there's no real difference other than how it's perceived.
I understand that there's no difference between repetitive and touch and go. My concern is that rather than having any abatement from 5 to 10 p.m., we have, we've just dropped that abatement period. I don't care what you call it, but it seems to me that there's now unfettered activity between 5 and 10 p.m., regardless of the term that you use for these repetitive activities. And so I am concerned about an increase in neighborhood noise between 5 and 10 p.m. And again, between 7 and 8 a.m.
Understand.
Any other questions? I got a couple. Do you have I guess Commissioner McGurk addressed it. What's the comm plan for getting this word out now? I think we've decided we're going to have a communication with a meeting with everybody and make sure that it's widely publicized so that everybody can come in and talk about it. I think that's probably your plan. Now, after we blew this up and said, nope, we're not going to pass it.
Yeah, I'll get with staff and the city manager, and we'll find the best way to do that. Accomplish that.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. One technical issue, it's on pattern altitude, height change from 800 to 1,000. And so was there any testing done with monitors or with any, anything either any measurement devices or just somebody going out and looking to see if that pattern altitude increased? Yes, you'll broaden the scope of people impacted, but hopefully at the outer edges, the altitude sufficient at 1,000 feet that it would not be as noisy, and the glide slope would be changed because you're now using a 1,000-foot approach rather than a 800-foot approach, and potentially the folks inside would have inside the ATC would have a quieter ride. Any comments or science behind your decision not to raise the pattern altitude, other than the closeness to the ATC at the Daytona Beach being at 1,200? I got that risk.
So we can't, unfortunately, test it without actually doing it. So in order to change it, we have to go to the FAA. They have to do a study. We have to go to flight standards, request the change. They may or may not approve it. When they do approve it, that's what it is. It's now changed to 1,000 feet. We conducted a roundtable with a wide variety of users, including Embry-Riddle, the experts at Embry-Riddle, air traffic control. We got feedback from the FAA. We took into consideration the consultant's feedback, as well as users. And the consensus, a broad consensus, was it's not a good idea for multiple reasons. Number one, safety. Raising the pattern altitude would, in effect, stretch the pattern out. And when the pattern becomes wider, now aircraft are flying in areas they don't currently fly. So if you're flying a longer leg, you're now in conflict with aircraft going up and down the coast. If we're flying on the east-west runway, which is the most commonly used runway, when that pattern altitude becomes 1,000 as opposed to 800, those aircraft have to fly farther unless the winds are very strong before they're able to turn, which is, on one hand, what we want. We wanted them to be higher and potentially quieter. The problem is that conflict, there's a lot of traffic up and down the coast with VFR traffic, with jets, with different types of aircraft. So that pattern That was an air traffic control concern. That was probably our predominant concern. The second reason was that also by extending that pattern out, you're now impacting residents that aren't currently affected as much. So the net result is negative. And while it might give some sound cushion to some residents, the sum was between safety and the negative result. We felt it wasn't a good idea. Now, to answer your question again, we wouldn't know that until we actually tested it, and we cannot test it without actually raising it, getting that approval to raise it. We can't just go out and start doing it, unfortunately.
Got it. You throw the safety flag, that's usually a King's X if it holds up. Trying to find a way to get relief to those people that are inside the ATC, and they don't know all this stuff. What they know is it's loud, and so if there was a way to do it, and what I think you're telling me is the protocol is after it's changed, and then you'd have to change it back by another effort.
Right.
So it doesn't seem very smooth. That process stinks.
It's not a quick process.
Doesn't seem like to test an idea that would make a gazillion residents in that area feel and sound and make their lives a whole lot easier. In the name of safety, I know you don't want. I wouldn't want to do it either. But for all the other reasons, we do a lot of testing in aviation. Why this can't be tested doesn't track for me. But I'll leave it to your expertise. Any other questions? Okay, so we will be taking this up again another day. We've made a motion to defer. We've had a second. We've had some discussion. Madam City Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Arvin. Appreciate it. My error in leaving out item 7, India, the consideration of approval of submission for the opioid abatement funding program. I left that off of the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Kelly, for catching that. Okay, on to item 8A. Oh, no, there's more, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The big one. Yes, 7J is the approval of, consider the approval of NSB, Casey's NSB and La Terraza two-tiered pit stop, which is part of another event.
Well, Bike and Bar is the unauthorized drinking event that takes place that weekend, and I thought we were working hard to discourage the event because it isn't an approved event. So I am concerned that we're functionally endorsing Bike and Bar, a non-authorized event that I thought we were discouraging, by approving what is clearly meant to be a pit stop for Bike and Bar. So where are we on this?
So we were approached by Casey's in La Terraza with an application on the special event, through the special event process that comes through the committee just like any other special event. The committee signs off on the requisitions that come through, as long as they meet our qualifications and requirements, and it comes to you for final review.
I understand the process, but perhaps Chief Feldman can weigh in, because I thought we worked really hard last year to discourage it. And so I am, it's nothing against the specific activity except how it would appear for an unauthorized event that we're trying to discourage.
So before we have the chief do his thing, I would like to offer that these folks are following the rules. They're trying to submit an application for something. There are other, as Commissioner Martin points out, there are other 10 stops that have never submitted a permit, they don't plan to submit a permit, they haven't submitted a permit. And so we either have to flip or flop. We don't want to penalize these guys for doing the rule set and disapprove them, but we do become party to an event that's in town if we do approve it. And then it goes to enforcing that the others need to make their application. So, either somehow or other between the staff and the commission, we need to either decide which way we're headed on this. It's going to be voluntary compliance, that probably doesn't stand. Not when these guys put their head above the water and say, we're going to try and do it right. And we vote it down, and now they do it anyway with the others, or we penalize them, they don't get the revenue that they would ordinarily get. It just doesn't feel right. Either way, unless we have a police state and totally disallow it, it's going to cost Chief Feldman's organization money to staff it up just like it has every year and prevent the folks that are biking and drinking from hurting themselves. So I think there's a technical answer that the chief can give us, but we as the governing body have to decide, I think, whether we're going to be in or out. I wish this had never come up. I wish that people had never submitted for an application. Then we have another decision to make. That decision is now before us, in my view. And so it'd be interesting to hear how each of us feel about it. But Chief, we're ready to hear that this is no problem. You handle it like you handle it every year, but it does cost us money, or you'd rather see us get rid of it.
So speaking from a public safety perspective only, it is really a non-issue for us. So we informally reached out to, if there can even be called an organizer for Bike and Bar, because there isn't a formal organizer, but those that are affiliated with it, to caution them on the rules and remind them that we would enforce all appropriate traffic laws and city ordinances to include drinking in public spaces. We didn't see it as an issue. They heeded our warning last year. They, ultimately they meet down, at the end of Atlantic. They have kind of their informal briefing on private property, and then they bike within the bike lane to their various stops. So from a public safety perspective, there really isn't much for us to weigh in on, other than we'll be out there and we will continue to enforce the laws and ordinances.
Thank you, sir. Let me see. Commissioner McGurk.
So maybe my 2 cents worth. I think the goal was to use strict enforcement as much as we can to gain control on it, not let it be just total debauchery. I think that is the main component we can use. The other component we can use is having people come in, and applying for the permit, and then us being able to look at it and then holding them to some sort of standards is better than just having a free-for-all. I'm not saying that's the best way. It's just 6 1/2 dozen the other. But I think the key is the enforcement. No public intoxication, no, bad behavior, urinating on street signs and posts. So the question is,
My question was only the optics of approving something that's clearly designed to augment an event that we're trying to discourage. So from the optics perspective, it sort of says, yeah, we really want to dial it back, and we want to make sure you guys, stay on the straight and narrow, but here's your pit stop. And it just feels to me like, again, the optics, not because of the event. I understand that. And I don't know that any of the other places along the path are in essence reaching out to people where what do they have, 150, 200 people. I think the other locations tend to have a stream of people that come and go, and this is saying stay and play. Again, it's the optics of the event when we're trying to say this is an unauthorized event for the city.
I think it's better, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree, but I think in this case, the key component is going to be what police chief is going to be doing. I think I'd rather see businesses come in, and just because they come in and do what they're supposed to do doesn't mean that we're endorsing it. On the other hand, the optics of just total chaos is the optics of we're not doing anything. So it's kind of we're stuck in the middle. No
It's an
question, we all agree on
uncomfortable-
that.
But this is, again, I don't know that any of the other stops are requesting and trying to corral the same number of people that this one is. So,
What is your solution? What would
I'm
you like
not
to see us
sure.
do?
I don't know what, I'm just really uncomfortable about the optics. Love the companies are great. Love these restaurants. I think the people are great.
It's
But-
a 31-year, they've been going at it for 31 years. They got a Facebook page.
Yeah,
We
but
can't
they
pretend,
weren't-
we can't pretend it doesn't happen. So we got to control it, I think. And I would favor making each of those guys that are participating get to Rob and say, and send them something official from the city that says, hey, you guys need to submit your application.
Well, do we know that any other stop along the way is expecting 150 to 200 people to stop and play for a while? I don't know if that criteria has in the past or is expected this year to apply. Do you have any insights?
The only special event application I've received for Bike and Bar is this one.
And in the past, have we gotten special permits? Again, I don't know.
No.
What I've seen of Bike and Bar over the years has been a sort of a constant progression of people from place to place to place. That was not to stop and play for a long period of time. And they're being invited to stop and play.
So
And that's new. That's a different
scope-
occurrence for Bike and Bar.
The scope of this event is supposed to be a pit stop. So the way this was couched to us during the special event process was you come in as you're making your journey throughout the trail, you stop for a pit stop, and you carry on to your next destination. Defining how long that pit stop lasts, I can't say.
Yeah, I understand. It's just, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know how else to say it. On one hand, we're saying Bike and Bar is unauthorized. On the other hand, we're saying, except for this great pit stop in the middle of Bike and Bar. So it's a difficult one.
It is, and my view is that we have to, a shot needs to be called. You either say, we're going to approve this one and make everybody else that plans to participate, every other business that plans to participate, submit, or you can disapprove this one and they're going to do their Bike and Bar. I'm sorry, sir. If we need you, we'll call you.
That gentleman is the organizer with the event.
The commission like to hear from the gentleman.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Without objection, no? Commissioner Hartman, wait a minute. No? That's all right. If you, we have objection. Anybody want to make a motion, whether they want to hear them or not?
I mean, we're talking about this, but last year we approved moving Wine Walk to a different week to accommodate the Bike and Bar people at Flagler Tavern. So, this is the rules. This is what we require. They're abiding by the rules. So to say, no, you can't do it this year, I think is wrong. I think my opinion is we have to approve this, and then sometime between now and the next Bike and Bar, we can address the issue either through ordinance or some other form that disallows it. But the gentleman has followed all the rules that we asked him to follow. He's gotten the approval from the Leisure Services Department, who review all these applications, He's making every effort to make it as safe as possible. So to tell him, no, you can't do it, but we did it last year. And, you know, you can say you don't like the bike and bar, but you're promoting an alternative mode of transportation. You know, I know people that come over here and participate, and they don't drink. So, you know, it's...
I would say that you've made an excellent point that we have not set any rules in the past, and now is sort of a rough time to start it. So I think that's an excellent point. Thank you.
So you're welcome. I would agree with the commissioner who reminds us what we did last year, and that's been in place for 31 years. My trouble is saying yes to these guys and not enforcing that every other place. Is there a permit fee with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so they paid a fee, and they're going to do it right, and the 10 or 12 other places, or how many there are, will again, another year, not do what we say, and then we say, next year, we're going to make you do something different. Is it too late to say, put your permit in, or we're not going to let you do it? And if so, how would we enforce that?
The event is scheduled for Saturday, June 22nd, so we're about 5 weeks out for a minor event. It's a 30-day in advance of the event date that is required by ordinance. A major event would require 45 days in advance. So to get it through the process, it would be hard, very tight.
With so many businesses participating, it'd be impossible to reach out to them. I think we just deal with this issue right now today. I've listened to Commissioner Martin's position. I generally understand it, don't have any disagreement with her on it, but at this point, I think, you know, we can't reinvent the wheel at the 11th hour. So I want to move ahead on a vote on this one tonight, and I've heard position. I think we generally agree that we need to address it for next year. Let's move on.
I love that idea. Can we direct staff to send something out immediately or soonest that's to all the participating organizations, or not organizations, but participating stops, and say, hey, we want you to register next year?
Do we know if any other places specifically reach out and say we're a bike and bar participant? So this is a whole new event, if you will, that a participant, because it's always been de facto, it's never been organized, it's always just been sort of, it's just...
So I want to clarify one thing. So this special event application is for La Terraza and Casey's to operate outside of the existing footprint of their establishment in the parking lot. So if there's other establishments that are stopped and they're operating within their normal business operations, there's no need for them to come and get a special event permit.
Got it. So you can't stop.
Right.
So just do it. City Manager.
Well, I think I would like to hear from Mr. Flanagan, just to see what he has to say about this. He's there, if you don't mind.
Any objection? Mr. Flanagan, please.
Thank you, guys. I agree, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. And we did try to dot the i's, cross the t's, and it's important to me that public safety is number one. You know, we take care of the police, and we're always in partnership with you guys to do the right thing. This was an idea by one of our managers to help corral, it's not hundreds, it's thousands of people. It's a lot. And as they make their way up South Atlantic, we are in that fork in the road, and we do get inundated. This was supposed to be something to, number one, I'm not a promoter of alcohol. I'm a restaurant guy, not a bar guy. I don't want alcohol outside. We were gonna set up a grill, hot dogs, street tacos from La Terraza, and give these people a bottle of water. Hopefully they'll sober up a little bit, and then go on to their other destination and just try to do something fun to help corral the amount of people coming in the backyard. I don't want to be part of setting a new precedence or anything of that nature. I really don't. You guys know it's hard enough in the restaurant industry to get in without getting involved politically with everything going on. It's thousands of people that are on their way to have a good time. But again, if this is going to cause a problem, I'll withdraw the application, and then you guys can work it out for next year. We've always worked within the parameters, you know, of they can either go to Boston's, Casey's, or La Terraza. We're good with that. I just wanted to set up 2 tents, grill, coolers full of water, give them a little place to stop. But again, if it's going to cause a problem with you guys, just withdraw the application, and then we'll be ready for next year, if that makes sense, if that helps it with you guys, to make it easier on you.
Any questions for Mr. Flanagan?
Well, I appreciate that offer, but I don't think that helps us one bit. I think there's nothing wrong that you're doing. It's more of an internal issue. So I appreciate you applying for the permit. You're going to stick tents out there, let us know what you're doing, and do it you're doing it the proper way.
I think we all appreciate that. We really do. And I love what you're saying. And please know that my question had nothing to do with your 3 restaurants. They're great. We love them. It was just in the context of the whole day.
Yeah. And each year, it's gotten a little bit bigger. But last year, you guys handled it amazingly. I mean, it was like totally different from the years before. They weren't in the roads. They did a much better job. They're coming whether we want them or not. So thank you for your time. Thank you, Colin, for letting me speak, and whatever I can do to help you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
And Mayor, I would also suggest that I will have our leisure service director to reach out to the other stops and see what kind of activity are they planning to have. Is it something going to be outside their establishment, or is it in the establishment itself? If it's outside, then we will encourage them to apply.
Wonderful. That'd be great. Appreciate that. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve 7I.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
I'm sorry, 7J.
7J.
I'll still second.
Any other discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call a roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Motion carries. On to item 8A, administrative new business, consideration for rejection of a bid for sale of the property at 120 Flagler. I think the Assistant City Manager is teed up to help us through this.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commission. Back in March of this year, the Commission authorized re-advertising the 120 Flagler property for sale with the bid price of $1,012,000 as the minimum bid. We had discussion regarding expanding the advertising for that property. We advertised it on OpenGov, where we sent out almost 2,500 notifications, received 370 views. DemandStar had 265 notifications with 1 view on the DemandStar app. The LoopNet app garnered us 15,598 views, so we did get wider viewership of that. We had 2 site visits at the property for interested parties on that, and had several parties on that site visit. All of those activities garnered 1 bid in the amount of $572,350 from Leon and Amy Geller. Given that the bid falls below the minimum bid of $1,012,000, staff is recommending rejection of that bid. Prior to the Commission taking action on that recommendation, I'd like to offer the following options for your consideration on how to move forward with the property. We certainly could re-advertise the property again for sale. We had several follow-up inquiries after the bidding closed from other individual parties interested in the property. So maybe re-advertising it for sale might garner the bid that we're trying to achieve. We could again solicit the RFP to place the property up for lease. We could give consideration to modify the terms of the RFP to allow an easier process for potential lessees to sublet the property, thereby maximizing their ability to cash flow and meet a rent requirement that we're trying to achieve on their property. This option may require an immediate payment to the transportation impact fee funds, however. We could utilize the property for city operations at the current location. The option would require payment to the transportation impact fee fund. We could relocate the building to a new location for city operations, develop the existing property for city parking. This option would require payment to the transportation impact fees. It would cost approximately $300,000 to develop the parking lot for parking purposes, and yet unknown relocation and resetting costs of the building on another site. I will answer any questions you might have.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just
You want to
wanna-
set this up? Yes, sir.
We thought about another option. I mean, that's if you choose either the resale or the lease. I think combining the two options, this way it gives the option of someone, whether it's a sale or a lease, but we put them together. So if you are interested in a lease, you could submit that. But if I just put it for sale and you are interested in a lease, you're not going to submit anything. So we put it either sale or lease. We listen the restrictions on the lease if we do that, because the previous negotiation we had with some of the prospects, it was about the sublease. So we could work on that. Maybe that will help us. The other comment was made by Commissioner Martin that it wasn't listed in the residential.
Yeah, and I think Vice Mayor Perine probably has a better handle on this than I do, but I know I casually looked at Realtor.com or Zillow, these places where we get such wide exposure, and I didn't see it in those.
The only way you can do that if it's mixed use. If it's commercial, it can't go residential, and I don't know.
It is mixed use.
Is it? Then it needs to be in that as well. But you can do it by owner, but you can't do it unless you are in the MLS system, and that's with a realtor.
Okay,
So
you
those
need an
feed over to
MLS.
Zillow and Realtor.com automatically unless you're for sale by owner, which we might be able to do that as a city.
Well,
Could
we
be a good
functionally
idea.
are for sale by
Pretty
owner, right?
much, yeah. So I have a question too, if you're done.
No, and my other one was first, the super broad Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever. The other side of it, and I understand that there's internal accounting issues, but retaining it for use by our New Smyrna Police Department, I think would be I'd love to find a way to orchestrate that, because it's something that's needed. We don't want to have to buy a new building, but we do know that we need that presence there. And it doesn't have to have a police station sign on it or anything else, but it would be very helpful, I believe, to our police department to have the use of that building.
And again, as the Assistant City Manager mentioned, that it's still that has we have to pay the money back to
No,
the
I know,
transportation
there's
fee.
accounting issues.
So the accounting issue, and it's not only that, but it's coming out of general fund.
Yeah.
So I think we were talking about if we, regardless of what we do, especially if we do the lease, we probably have to have an agreement where we pay it back in a certain time, whether 3 years, 5 years, whatever that number is. But anyway, we have several options here to choose from. I mean, it's the staff recommendation. My recommendation would be to have a sale/lease and use that for the last time and then see how it goes. And we'll expand our, if we can put it on the residential, we'll do that. I mean, we have, based on the Vice Mayor's recommendation last time, we have so many hits that we didn't have before. So hopefully this time we'll have someone that might be interested in it. So.
Okay, well, I appreciate the staff's input, and Ron, stay in the hot box there so we can see if we have any more questions for you, but let's go down and see what the will of the commission is or what other questions might have. Vice Mayor.
Yes, if we do the combination of 1 and 2, how would we advertise the sale price? Can we just request the bare minimum to get back what we have invested in it so that we still don't owe that fund? Because as mentioned earlier, we're $10 million short again this year. The last thing we need is to keep a building that we don't have a plan for and have the police pay back into their transportation fund. I just can't see that being advantageous. But I can see that if we can reduce that down to the 9, whatever price it is that we have in it, and try to get some more interest that way, and then also look at the subleasing, because I believe the person that wanted it before had offices they could sublease and make it in the words of with city commission approval or city staff approval.
The commitment to the Transportation Impact Fee Fund would be $935,000. Now, we did have additional costs involved in the property in regards to some termite treatments and other repairs that we've made. So, but if you're just looking to meet the commitment to the Transportation Impact Fee Fund, that would be $935,000.
So we could list the building for sale, $935,000, listed in all of the solicitations, including realtor if it's mixed use, and as well as for lease. And with an amount on the lease amount, how would you determine that this time?
Well, I think we had a figure for the lease when we were trying to lease it, and I think we had a range. So we could actually specify that in our RFP. I would like to recoup all the funds that I spend on the building if it's possible. I think what we had in the minimum bid last time, I think it was $1.012 million.
Yes, sir.
So between the $1.012 million and what we have paid for it and what we spend on it in terms of the termites and other things, I think we had an issue with the AC.
Correct.
I don't think that the difference is that much. Maybe, $70,000, $60,000, the difference between the minimum we ask and then what we have really spent on it. But I would not go any below that. I would like to recoup whatever funds I put on it.
Could we possibly get it below the $1 million mark for advertising?
I'm going to go back and see exactly how much I spend on it, and I could put that as a minimum if that's what the commission wishes.
But
Anything else? You'll get your turn. Anything else?
No, thank
All
you.
right. Mr. Hartman.
So Ron, I have some questions about your final option
Yes,
of
sir.
moving the building. And why do we have to repay the transportation fund if we keep the lot as it is? Because we bought the lot with transportation impact to make improvements to the intersection, where if we just relocate the building, the only thing we'd have to repay would be the value of the building back, because we would still own the lot and that could still be a future option.
I would defer to our legal counsel on that question.
And then the other comment is, we've already made an existing temporary parking lot out of several of the spaces, and it only costs us the cost of the signs. So why would it cost us $300,000 to remove the building and leave it an open vacant lot? That's confusing to me.
My view would be to improve the lot to a level that we have across the street. That cost was about $300,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of difference in that lot and the little bit of space that we would
Correct.
get over there. So, I know I'm the only one who wants to move the building, so I don't think that's going to go anywhere, but, just.
I don't know. I'm ready. I've so had it. I'm ready to do something. I might jump in with that. Commissioner McGurk.
So I'm thinking along the lines of Commissioner Hartman. I want a plan B. We bought it for intersection improvements. I still want the intersection improvements. I feel like I'm the only one. I drove that intersection all the time. We would benefit. So we can't sell the property. I don't care what we do in terms of setting it up for a lease or trying to sell it or do some hybrid. That's fine. I want a plan B. Plan B is I want to know If we make a right turn lane at Peninsula to go west on 44, or it's technically 44, over the North Bridge, does that meet the criteria for using the property as an intersection improvement?
Yes, it does.
So then we can either keep the house where it is and make the right turn lane, or we move the house back slightly, have the right turn lane, make the intersection improvement, and that gets rid of, at the very least, all this issue of paying the transportation impact fee back $1 million. So if we take that whole element away from the debate, it opens it up for a lot more possibility. We can keep the house, we can keep it there. We can then lease it out without having to worry about paying back impact fees. So that's the first step, is let's get out from under this anchor of having to pay back transportation impact fees. Let's do something. And then what we can do is we own the property, we own the building. Right now it's not selling. Maybe it will sell a year from now or 2 years from now. But we own it, we don't have to pay it back, we can do whatever we want with it. I'm also interested in moving the home. So let's get something moving on it. To me, we do it by getting out from under the anchor of paying back transportation impact fees. And that opens it up for what we can do.
You know, there's a cost still involved by moving it back to the, I guess it would be the northwest. The reason I recommended the option of the hybrid sale and lease is at least you get the lease money to be paid back to the Transportation Impact Fund. But in the meantime, you have 3 to 5 years. So in that time, you know, if somebody leased a building and now they're interested to buy it, you know, so I'm buying like 3 to 5 years for myself to do whatever I need to do with it at that time. Maybe it's not selling today, maybe it will sell next year. So that's why, but moving the building, if I'm gonna move the building, I'm gonna move it out of the site. But if to move it to the northwest, it's gonna cost you some money, probably 50, 100,000, I don't know. But it's gonna cost you some money because you have to set up the foundation and you still have to get it moved to that site.
So I stick with, let's get out from the anchor of paying back the transportation impact fee by doing whatever improvement, minimal improvement needs to be done, and I say a right turn lane. And then it opens up what we can do.
Commissioner Martin.
Okay, couple of things. First of all, we do have a potential use for the building. It could be used by the police department. Second of all, the traffic consultant, I remember going to the meeting about this potential right-hand lane, which would cost a considerable amount of money to create. But he finally looked at us all and said, well, he did think that there were some occasions when some people could save up to 10 seconds if we added a right turn lane there. So I find it greatly difficult to contemplate spending a lot of money to put in a right turn lane so on occasion some people could save 10 seconds. Don't think that's a valuable use of our city budget. And I'm curious that if we value the building enough to potentially move it somewhere, why this commission doesn't value the building enough to protect it. In other words, like the one bid that came in wanted to bid only if he knew he could demolish the building. So I find it somewhat confusing.
So
we're going to go
comments?
again. We'll go around
Yes,
again
we're
because
going
I'm sure
again.
everybody's got some new ideas. This is hard work, and so we got to do something. I am with a bias for action.
So-
I'm just offering my piece because I haven't said much about this, but we lean on the vice mayor a lot for a real estate savvy. I'd like it to move. We delayed and said, okay, let's advertise it nationally. We didn't get much traction for that. We tried to lease it, and we tightened. We had pretty tight grip on what we're going to allow there and what we allowed, what subleasing we would not allow. So that opportunity went away. So I go all the way back over to Commissioner Hartman, which had agreed with the city manager's original proposal, which moved the building out of there, get it out of there and use it somewhere else, and then figure out whether you want to do parking or another lane or whatever. So I just think we ought to do something. Vice Mayor.
So I am not in favor of it being the police building because we just spent budget money to lease a new building for the police and the parking enforcement staff. So to do that much this fast, I can't see a plan there that will work. Also, the neighbors didn't want the turn lane. If you recall, I saw all those meetings and it was an uproar. For the 10-second savings that Commissioner Martin said, the whole area said no to that. So then here we open a can of worms again, moving forward without the turn lane, with the different commission board. You're doing that to us again and to the citizens. I'm not in favor of that. And then third, the lease we never advertised like we did with the cell. And if you look at the RFP bid numbers, how much was that for this time around? You had 15,000 for LoopNet, but how many did you have on hits for just the bid opengov.com?
Yeah, we only had OpenGov, we had 370 views.
So see, it was probably less than that for the lease. So we didn't give that advertisement a shot. So I like either or. If somebody wants to reimburse us the full amount, yay. If they don't and want to lease it, then it's going to prolong it. We're getting our money back to pay back the fund that we don't have the funds to pay. And we can look at it again 3 to 5 years and come up with a better plan with the lease to do what we want, either move the building and get solid costs. If we say yes to that, move the building, we're again back where we started from, delaying this because we don't know how much that's going to cost. And here we go again. We've been doing this for 2 years now. So I'm saying 1 or 2 so that we can try the lease option without all the restrictions. We didn't get a lease because we said no to subleasing. For example, the realtor firm that came in here wanted to maybe put in a mortgage lender or a title company, and they were renting office space to help offset the high price on the lease. That could be anybody, an architect. It could be anything, and kept the charm and kept the historic building, and they would actually improve it versus it being sitting there for 2 years with our office files in it. So we need to market it appropriately and see, give it a window of time, saying, okay, this is the last time. And then if it doesn't work and we don't generate a lot of interest either by lease, by restricting all the rules on the lease that shut everybody out, or the payback, $999,000, let's get that in there. That'll reimburse us and then call it a day. And if we don't by a certain amount of time, we will have a plan in place.
All right. Commissioner Hartman, help us.
I tried 4 or 5 years ago when I said we needed to put an RFP out for a real estate vendor to handle all of our real estate transactions, because then they could have handled all this for us. But I could go along with the lease option buy plan, put it out there, but plan B needs to be, what's the final cost to move the building to a specific site, and then we're done with it. It comes up, we either accept the lease, deny the lease, building gets moved, whatever. I think those are the 2 options, but we just keep kicking the can down the road, so.
Thank you. Commissioner Martin.
Just that we value the building so much that we would move it to someplace. I don't remember, the old time was Old Fort Park. I am still continue to be confused why we value the building enough to consider moving it, yet we would not prohibit anybody from tearing down the building if that building were purchased. This confuses me.
I didn't say anything about tearing the building down.
No, if you read the bid that came in, The question was made, is there any prohibition on demolishing the building? The response was, no, there isn't. We did not put any prohibitions in the RFP to protect that building. So if we would not protect the building in the RFP, why would we then say, oh, well, if we keep it, we're going to invest in it by moving it? Either we value the building or we don't.
I'm fine with protecting the building.
I asked several times if we could put guardrails on the RFP. So I will ask again, since we all agree that we value the building. Can we put guardrails on a new RFP that would be the lease or sale that says that the exterior of the building must stay largely intact, or whatever it is, to maintain what I call the movie set appearance of Flagler Avenue? But to demolish it and rebuild it would be an issue. So let's put some guardrails on. We put lots of guardrails on the Women's Club. Let's put some guardrails on 120 Flagler.
Anything else? Anything else? Commissioner McGurk? Plan B.
Not at this time.
Plan B. No? Okay, so Plan A coming together nicely with Commissioner Perrine's ideas about loosening up the lease opportunity and putting a sale and or lease option together. Love that idea. I'm willing to go on your experience and let's try that again, see how that works. But I also hear the bell that says, let us not leave here without the Plan B, or we'll be sitting back here doing the same thing again should this fail. So how much time, think about this, how much time do you let Plan A cook before you say, okay, we're done? And then when do you pull the trigger on Plan B? And is Plan B a little move or a big move? And then the other thing, the Women's Club was built in the 1919, something like that. Is this thing historic?
It is a contributing structure.
I know
It is
the
a
term contributing structure.
To the Coronado National Historic District.
Got it. But it's got no historical value itself. It's not built. It wasn't built in 1919.
No, what is it, 1937, 19?
Okay, well, that's huge. That's big.
Yeah, no, and
All
it
right.
is a contributing structure, so it is recognized. I just have a question. When we talk
Sure.
about doing the lease buy and the optional with the sublease, none of which I have a problem, I just want to see how we can get it to the broadest audience. And if we're doing it by owner, can the vice mayor guide us, since they didn't take up Randy's suggestion to have an RFP for a realtor, which would have been helpful, but could we be guided to get the broadest audience possible?
Absolutely. There's so many sites that we can put that on. If it is mixed use, we can go that direction by owner if their regulations and rules allows it to be a government entity. And those are legal questions I don't know. But I would say, like our mayor suggested, put a time frame, and that'll give staff an opportunity to continue to work on a Plan B of moving the building or to the turn lane again if this other doesn't work. But I think we should really try hard first to get what we have, either a less than least restrictions, a lower amount, to start paying back that fund. And or if somebody wants to offer us $999,000, we take it, if we vote on that.
What is the time frame that you would recommend with your expertise? How much time?
I would say 90 days.
90 days. In the meantime, Mayor, during the 90 days, whatever option B that you choose, then we will prepare a cost estimate for whatever option that you will pick. Whether you relocate the building on-site, relocate the building off-site, whatever that option is, within the 90 days we'll have, when we come back with whatever the outcome is. If we have somebody who's buying it or somebody who's leasing it, that's fine. If not, then we'll come back saying no bids or no RFPs submitted, and then we'll give you the cost on option B.
So let's, have we got the fortitude to discuss option B a little further, and how you'd like to direct staff? Commissioner McGirt?
So, we moved the building. What does that do for the $1 million that we owe the transportation impact fee? Why do we keep talking about, we still owe it, right? And then I'm hearing protests that we shouldn't do a lane. I'm gonna ask that we should get the actual report and the way that in the methodology that the expert told you that they say 10 seconds.
We did that traffic study.
Listen.
Yeah.
Let me finish. If we're gonna take for gospel 10 seconds, someone needs to show me the study and the methodology, because I don't buy that. So, Plan B, we're talking about moving the building. Let's not talk about moving the building until we figure out how we're gonna pay the traffic impact fee back, $1 million.
Now, let's assume that you chose Plan B, which is moving the building. Let's assume that you do that, which means now the site is vacant. And you could possibly do either widen the lane, widen the sidewalk, do some improvement to the intersection. As long as you do that, that is part of the transportation impact fund.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay it back.
So that's exactly where I was going. Let's come up with a Plan B that meets the criteria for satisfying the transportation impact element. That's Plan B. We need to know the threshold.
For clarity, did I hear you say, City Manager, that if we move building, that could be funded out of, how does that get funded? Does that add to how much we owe the transportation impact fee
Well,
fund?
if you move the building, you cannot use the impact fees to move the building. Moving the building has nothing to do with the property itself is impact. So whatever you spend on the property to improve, whether you widen the lane, add a sidewalk, improve the intersection, that is under the impact fees. But moving the building itself to another site.
That's on us. That's
That
on
will
the
be under general fund.
Plus, the building needs remodeled, so I can't see offices going in there until the building's remodeled.
Inside, interior, yeah, but I mean.
That's a lot of costs that we don't have in our budget this year, or next year, probably.
No, I think the sale
Commissioner Martin,
and lease are good.
Let's do, you like the inside, you don't want the outside touched. I got that loud and clear.
Yeah,
I got
you're
it.
right.
All right. Mr. Hartman? Have we got this Plan B? I'm worried Plan B is coming apart and that we're going to have to spend more money out of the general fund to move the building, remodel the building, or demolish the building, right? That's all on us, and we got no money for any of that, right? So how does Plan B come together if we can't fund
So
Plan
that's
B?
why I had recommended the option of the hybrid.
I
At
like
least
your
for
Plan
90
A.
days.
I like your
No,
Plan
I
A.
know, I'm just saying, that's why at least it gives us 90 days to, hopefully, I'm being optimistic that we will have someone, whether to lease or buy, within this 90 days.
I'm
I mean,
with
that's what I'm
you.
hoping for.
Whispering in my ear is Hartman, who says, kick the can, kick the can, kick the can.
No.
We've got to have something to do if that doesn't work, and I don't know what that is.
I mean, having Plan B is, I'm fine with it. I'm not saying it's not, but.
I can pay for it.
Well, I have to come up with a plan for you.
Okay, Commissioner Hartman.
So it makes no sense to spend the money just to pick it up and move it back 10 feet or 20 feet. That's a total waste. So it needs to be moved off the site. And when you consider moving the building and prepping the new site, some renovations, your per square foot for office space, commercial office space, is probably reasonable, where we'll probably end up paying less than we did for the Minerva Center. So I think that can be a long-range plan. We hear all the time how we're outgrowing our current facilities, we're shuffling people around, putting partition. I mean, it's an option. If you move it over here and make it into to Old Fort Park and make it a recreational community center or something like that, you could look at rec fees or something along those lines, impact fees. But, you know, there's options. I just want to get it off the site and put it someplace so that we don't have to worry about paying that $935,000 back, and we have something functional. If we don't remodel it at all and continue to use it as office space, it's very expensive storage space. But, you know, it's an option. And I agree with Commissioner, it's a beautiful building, and it's got some historical value, much like the Connor Library did. And we spent thousands of dollars to move the Connor Library over here so it could be showcased in our parks. And
Can I
just my
make a
thoughts.
suggestion
But-
as a solution?
Yes.
Are you done? I'm sorry, are you finished?
You know, but, you know, I'm okay with these options sell, maintain the exterior of the building and loosen it up a little bit, see what happens. But if nothing happens again and we get sub offers on what we think we need for the building, then we need to come up with a B and do something with it, because the next commission will have to deal with it, or the next, everybody else is, so.
We've really broadened this, though. We have offered a sale or a lease, and
Right.
we've talked about getting it to a much bigger audience.
Right.
So we really are opening up our options enormously. I don't know that we really need to come up with a Plan B tonight, because
Yes, we
we
do,
have...
because we opened our options last time.
Not
and
to
went
this
back out for
extent.
rebid after the lease, and then it went out for rebid again because we didn't have a big enough audience. So we can, somebody's always gonna come up, well, we should have advertised it with this location, or we should have done that. So, you know, and at some point in time, somebody's gonna say, hey, you've got to pay this money back because you used impact fees to purchase it. And I think the longer we put that off, it's just going to put a target on our back. So I think there needs to be a Plan B. I'm hopeful and confident that Plan A will go through and we'll be done with this. But Plan B needs to be there in case something happens.
Well,
Want to take these?
Let me ask a question on commissions. Under the current proposal, are we securing a commission for someone who brings us a buyer?
no,
No.
there's no commission.
So, in the realm of real estate, everybody makes their money off a commission, marketing a property. We have $1 million piece of property we're trying to sell that nobody's gonna make any kind of money on if they bring a buyer. Seems to me we need to at least secure a commission for someone that may bring us a buyer. I don't know if we can do that. An RFP for a realtor, you know, Randy's right. We may, you know, maybe we needed to do that back a few years ago. But why don't we, if we're not securing a commission for someone who brings us a buyer, what the heck is the incentive? And we have more realtors in this town than anything. And yet we have $1 million property, which is a nice commission for anybody standards. So can we secure a commission to a buyer or for someone who brings us a buyer?
City Attorney, any
licensed
insight?
realtor.
Is there a vehicle with which we can do that, to simply offer commission?
Well, Ron would get a commission because it would come off of his plate and he wouldn't have to deal with it anymore.
I'd have to brainstorm some ideas, but usually we can craft solutions to.
Yeah, it sounds like doable.
We have an army of realtors out there that none of them are touching it because there's no benefit for
nothing in
them
it
to
for
put any work into it.
And it's pretty common to offer like a low commission, as low as like 2% on $1 million property. So that might be a really good idea just to do, and then we'll still net. But again, I'd still like to keep it under that $999,000 threshold,
Yeah.
because anything over that, you know, if that's the maximum somebody wants to spend, then they're not going to see anything over that level. For having this only $12,000 more than that, it's a perception thing, which $12,000 isn't going to do anything from $999 to $1,012,000. It's just.
Yeah, for informational purposes, we got 2 appraisals on the property. One was from the group out of Fort Lauderdale, whose appraised value was $950,000. The appraisal company from Edgewater valued it at $1,074,000. So you had a fairly narrow range of values within the $950,000 and $1,050,000 range. So
In the name of moving forward, maybe my colleagues craft, take these one at a time. We'll start with the primary idea and make a motion to move on the lease sale option with the 90-day window. Is there energy to start there? And then we'll take up the Plan B right after that.
Could I have a question?
Well,
Let's see. We're going to keep talking. We're going to have a motion, and then we can talk and get somewhere.
point of order, though, we have something before us. That
You bet.
We need to take action.
Sure. Do I have a motion
So I
on
make a
item
motion
8A?
I make a motion to approve the bid for ITB 20-24-CW.
Approve or reject?
Approve. That's, everything's made in the affirmative. Is there a second?
I'll second
We
that.
have a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
I'm sorry, are you approving the rejection?
No, approving the sell.
Approving the sale?
So a yes means reject.
Yeah.
So if you
No.
vote
No,
yes,
Randy said
No
no.
means
he said
reject.
no.
No means reject.
A motion to approve the sale.
So you want to vote
it's
So
a
a no
motion
vote
to
is a
approve the
rejection.
sale, so no
rejection?
means
Rejection.
reject. Madam City Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Mayor Perine?
No.
Commissioner McGurk?
No.
Commissioner Hartman?
No.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Mayor Cleveland?
No.
Thank you.
All right. Have we got now a motion to, we call it Plan A. Is there one that's in your head? And we'll have plenty of time to talk about it, but let's see if we can put our heads on whatever that might be, and it might be that our real estate expert would figure out exactly what that wording might be.
I'd like to make a motion to combine 1 and 2 option and with a time limit of 90 days and advertise maximum possibilities with both. And also during this time, give the staff opportunity to look at a Plan B.
Minimum bid amount? Do we have a
Minimum amount, $999,000.
Second for discussion.
Of course.
Just
I have a motion to do a lease sale, 90-day window, and we had, you have a price tag on it?
$999,000.
$999,000.
For
And we have a
clarity, those
sec-
are separate proposals, not a lease with an option to buy. Two separate
Two
options.
separate options, either
Correct.
or.
Okay.
Very good. And a second. And so now, motion is second. I'm not so sure you want to defer Plan B to another day. I think we want to have Plan B tonight. And so part of your motion was to let staff go figure out Plan B. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Would you amend?
I agree with that.
Would you amend? We don't have to decide, but
Discussion,
we ought to
yeah.
talk about it.
Just strike the Plan B.
All right, we're going to strike Plan B out
Let's
of that.
just go
so-
with the motion without Plan B, and then we'll vote on that.
Got
and
it.
we'll
Motion
talk
is
about-
stated
We'll
without
make a
Plan B.
second motion for the other.
And we have a second. You agree to that?
Yeah, I seconded for discussion.
Great,
because-
very good. And so now, let's go back and say that this is all about Plan A. It's the sale or lease at $999,000 with a 90-day window, and nothing about Plan B. Plan B will come in a separate conversation.
Yes.
Commissioner Martin.
We had discussed finding a way for somebody to get a commission so that it would be a more broadly based advertisement. I was hoping to get that included in the original motion. I would also like, since we are protective of the building, that if we sell it, that it cannot be demolished.
I mean, that's fine. But if you include that to get a realtor, which means I have to put an RFP out. I have to put it out, receive the RFP, bring it back to the commission. So you're talking about at least
We're not talking
I
about
understood
hiring a
Carrie
realtor.
Carrie said she could craft a way to give a
Yeah,
commission.
I'll brainstorm ideas so that if somebody brings a buyer, which means it doesn't have to happen that way, it could be just an organic, but that if somebody does bring a buyer, you guys would need to give me direction on what kind of.
A commission, or some kind of a bonus for bringing it as.
No, I
opposed-
get that, but like an amount, do we know?
2%.
2%?
Yeah, I'd be okay with 2%. So I was hoping that we could make that motion.
That one is fine, if you craft something like that.
Okay, so. I
Okay,
was
so
going-
order again, please. I appreciate Lisa continuing to modify the motion. Let us try one more time. I think you got it, Valerie. Go for it.
I would like to make a motion to go forward with either a sell or a buy. I'm sorry, a sell or a lease, my brain's dead. And for the sell price of $999,000 with a 2% pay commission to the buyer if that passes legal. And with a 90-day term.
2% to
Is there a second?
Buyer agent,
Is there a second?
buyer agent, thank you.
Second.
Okay. How are we feeling about that? Anybody want to discuss that some more? Commissioner Hartman.
Why would we not include lease option buy as an alternative? I mean,
Lease to buy?
lease to buy. I mean, I think that should also be included because, you know, I may want to lease it, but if I'm going to lease it with an option to buy it at a certain period of time at a certain dollar amount, I may be more encouraged to do that than to just lease it outright, where I may not have financial means to buy it outright. So I think that should not be eliminated out.
We can include that in the lease purchase, that there's an option, but the option has to be at the minimum purchase price that we set for the outright purchase, less at the point of time they exercise the option, less the amount of any principal based on an agreed-upon amortization schedule.
Okay.
Usually with that, you have to have a huge down payment before you go that, and it's non-refundable, so it gets messy.
So then my second question is 90 days a realistic time period to put this all together and then to get it back? When does the 90 days start? From the day it actually gets
The day we
admitted?
advertise, and then we could, I think one of the bids, I have extended it. So if the 90 days come in and we feel like we need to extend it, we could extend it, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Can we put any guardrails on the demolition of the building? We've done that with other situations.
We can try this, because my concern of putting a strict no demolition clause in there puts a standard on there that is much more stringent than any other standard that we have in the city. I would recommend, if you want that, to say that anybody desiring to demolish it would have to follow the city's procedures for demolition of historic structures.
Well, at least a clear
Or-
notification.
One suggestion, maybe perhaps give priority to those intending to keep the building, or either way it could work.
But yeah, and I think it should be noted, it's a contributing structure to the National Historic District. So that can be a selling point to many people because it's, you know, that's how we've done a number of things in the city based on the demographic associated with promoting historic preservation.
Okay, so back into the existing motion. We have a motion to have a lease or a buy or a lease to buy. No, we don't, because you said that's complicated. When the lease to buy has a different down. All right, so here's the motion. We have a motion that says lease or buy, 90-day window of advertising, $999,000. That's and a 2% commission. That's the current motion. Let's try that. Madam City Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys, that helps. All right, so let's work our way through what might be a Plan B. And I'm not saying we have to have it all hammered out, but simply directing staff to go figure out what Plan B is probably is not enough of teeth. Does Plan B mean move the building? Does Plan B mean demolish the building? What's your will on Plan B, Commissioner McGurk?
I think Plan B needs to include, most important, what is the threshold that has to be met to get the requirement to pay back the $1 million to the traffic impact fee?
The threshold in terms of what you leave out of the property?
I'm sorry. Say
The
that again?
threshold of what you leave, like what you leave for the
Yeah,
intersection improvement?
What can we do to get that anchor off of our neck? What's
Any-
the minimum we can do to
Any
meet the
improvement to
requirement?
the intersection?
I say it again?
Any improvement to the intersection?
Any improvement? Could it be a
I
sidewalk?
would suggest it be in good faith, like a good faith traffic improvement, not something minor or de minimis. Defining that actual threshold, I'm not sure that we can.
So good faith, is that a wider sidewalk?
Thank you. Sidewalk improvements in that area would be greatly appreciated, and we have a lot.
Maybe widen the lane and the sidewalk.
We have a lot of pedestrian activity. As we know, we changed those traffic lights there to accommodate that.
But I have to widen the lane. Widen the lane and the sidewalk, I think that will be helpful. That will give me some
Instead of
leeway.
widening the lane, could we put a bicycle lane there?
Well, I mean, that's possible, but you see, the thing is, it's gonna be only the width of the property, the bike lane, and after that, it's gonna go back to normal. But if I widen it, like, say, for example, if I create even like a parking space or something.
Does parking in that space help? Is that sufficient?
Yeah.
Is that
If I
substantive?
widen it and I make I think, I'm not sure about the parking space, but if I widen the lane itself, I think it would help.
I got the widening of the lane, but both Commissioner Martin and I listened to the public there, and boy, that was so hard for those folks that were there. And if there was a way around it no disrespect, sir. Legally, is the widening of the lane, is the widening of a sidewalk and making of a parking place sufficient to be a substantive adjustment and qualify?
I think Colin and I would need to talk that through. I mean, there's no defined line. So we would need to talk about it. I would need to know, like, you know, what kind of money are we talking? Like, what's
So let me make a
the
suggestion.
significance of it?
If a right turn lane is not good for various reasons, one of the traffic problems there at that intersection is making a left going east on Flagler. So when you say widen the lane a little bit, more of a bump out at that intersection, so cars can go around in the intersection for the cars trying to turn left. It doesn't remove trees, it's not imposing like a right turn lane would be, but it fixes a tangible problem at that intersection, which backs up all of the southbound on Peninsula when a car wants to make a left going east onto Flagler.
May I suggest this, if we could bring back maybe a couple of options for option B with cost estimates. In the meantime, it gives me a chance to discuss with the city attorney on what could we do there to meet the minimum criteria for the transportation impact fees. And then also get a cost estimate on relocating the building. So this way you have all the information for you.
So you can't, right, I agree that you can't answer that threshold issue tonight.
Yeah.
So, but that is to say, part of Plan B, at least in my opinion.
I would just like to have whatever Plan B. A lot of people are pedestrians in that Flagler area. And the more we do to make it safer and easier for people to walk, such as sidewalks, it reduces our cost of providing parking, it reduces our cost for maintaining streets, but it's also, since that would come out of the general fund if we do the sidewalk or whatever, I mean, we,
No, if I do the sidewalk and the lane, I think it'd be part of the transportation
seems to
impact
be-
fees.
it's
But at
the
the building
lane
itself,
that's,
that's what I'm,
yeah, the lane itself is a concern because no matter which lane you choose, the other three directions are going to be upset with you. And so I think that's an issue. But the sidewalks are not good there. It's difficult on all four corners, and that would be very helpful.
What's your will? Would you like to leave that alone, direct the staff to come back with option B options, or would you like to decide it here?
I make a motion that we come up with an option B in the event the property doesn't sell or lease, to one, move the building off-site to another site to be determined, and to include traffic improvements to the intersections to be determined.
Have a motion? Is there a second? I'll second it for discussion. It's a wonderful idea. You leave it wide open and allow, the staff now knows our intent, and we don't want to be back here in 90 days or 120 days saying, now what was Plan B again? We want to be able to pull the trigger on Plan B before this expires. And we don't want to hear about it in 90 days. We'd like to hear about it in 60 days or less.
I'm hoping that we will have something for you, if it's not at the first meeting in June, the second meeting in June, so way before the 90 days. So you'll have that option B available for you at the end of the 90 days for the bid.
Really good.
The only thing I'd like to add to that is the amount, I disagree with what Commissioner Hartman said about being a low square foot space for offices, because by the time you put the remodel cost in on that, I'm going to just throw out there 4 office spaces in that building. That's high. I know we only have a couple out here in the park for the library, but that was a significant historic building. It wasn't a contributing structure. So I'm not going to agree to moving the building with the cost that it's going to be to remodel the inside. I've worked in that building for 4 years, so I know the problems with the building. If you leave it alone, it's one thing, but when you move it, you're going to have structure issues, you're going to have foundation issues, you're going to have another situation just like we have with the Women's Club, so I can't support that.
So that's your opinion about moving the building?
Yeah,
Got it.
my counter to that on discussion is to do like Khalid said and just table this until they can come back and give us specifics on the remodel inside, moving it. It's a whole thing, what we're going to do with the building, have a plan. I don't want to just move a building with nothing to do with the building that's a contributing structure with no plan and put it in a park that we're taking up green space. And then you're going to have to put water, utilities, and electric, and all of these things in our park where, and run that from one house to the next. It's just too much. There's a lot of cost there that we're not considering.
Got it. We have a motion, and I seconded it, and we're in discussion. Do you have any interest in amending your motion at all, Commissioner Hartman?
No, I left it very broad so that we can take everything that's been discussed here and staff can come back to us and say, it's going to cost you $40,000 to move the building. It's going to cost us $30,000 to put the foundation in place. It's going to be another $5,000 to put the water, the sewer, and electric in it. And, we think we can remodel it in-house with using staff for another $5,000 or $6,000 in materials. I think that all needs to come back to us at some point in time.
I agree with you. My memory was that the motion was a mandate to move the building, either a little bit or a lot.
To be determined, yeah.
The motion included moving the building off-site.
Off-site.
Okay. A motion and a second. Any more discussion on it? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
No.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Assistant City Manager. It may have been slow, but it was painful. Now we'll move on to ordinances, second readings. And we're going to have a public hearing. Be conducted the adoption of the following ordinances regarding the annexation of property located at Corbin Park Road. Madam City Attorney, would you please read ordinances 1824, 1924, and 2024 for the second time by title only, please?
Ordinance number 1824, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing .1 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Corbin Park Road, north of Patty Road, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 1, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 1924, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .1 plus or minus acres of land located on the east side of Corbin Park Road, north of Patty Road, from Volusia County urban medium intensity to city medium density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 2024, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .1 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Corbin Park Road, north of Patty Road, from Volusia County R4A urban single-family residential airport overlay to city R2A single-family residential airport overlay zoning district, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. I see Senior Planner Mathan in the batter's box. Your report, Mr. Mathan.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the property owner has requested a voluntary annexation, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, and rezoning from a Volusia County future land use designation of urban medium intensity and a Volusia County zoning designation of R4 urban single-family residential with an A attached for the airport height notification zone, to a compatible city future land use designation of medium density residential and city zoning designation of R2 single family residential, still maintaining the A for the airport height notification zone. The site contains approximately 0.065 plus or minus acres. It's located on the east side of Corbin Park Road, just north of Patty Road. At the regular scheduled meeting on April the 1st, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 6-0 for a positive recommendation to the City Commission to approve the requested overall annexation application. Staff also recommends the City Commission to approve the requested annexation, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, amending the future land use to city medium-density residential and a rezoning to R2 single-family residential, still maintaining the A for the airport height notification zone. And that's a summary of the staff report, subject to any questions the Commission may have.
Any questions for Mr. Mathan? Thank you, Bob. Appreciate your report. Public hearing is now open. Are there any citizens who wish to speak on this particular topic? Please approach the podium and you'll be heard. 3 minutes. Seeing none, public participation is now closed. The Commission will consider each of the adoption of these separately. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 1824?
Motion to adopt ordinance 1824.
Second.
Second, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Motion's adopted. How about, is there a motion to adopt ordinance 1924?
Motion to adopt ordinance 1924.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes, but I thought it was 2524.
1924.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2024?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2024.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. Okay, motion carries. And now a public hearing will be conducted to consider the adoption of the following ordinances regarding the annexation of property on Pioneer Trail. Madam City Attorney, would you please read ordinance 2124, 2224, and 2324 for the
Can you
second
hold on for-
time by title only?
Just a second, I just want to make sure Commissioner Martin, those were the Corbin Park annexations.
No,
Do you-
I was on the wrong page.
Okay,
I'm clear.
got it, thank you.
Continue, please, Madam Attorney.
Ordinance number 2124, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing .3 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Pioneer Trail between Main Street and North Glencoe Road, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 3, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 2224, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .3 plus or minus acres of land located on the north side of Pioneer Trail between Main Street and North Glencoe Road from Volusia County urban low intensity to city low density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 2324, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .3 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Pioneer Trail between Main Street and North Glencoe Road from Volusia County A3A Transitional Agriculture Airport Overlay to City R2A Single Family Residential Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Mr. Mathan, your report, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the property owners requested a voluntary annexation, a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, and a rezoning from a Volusia County future land use designation of urban medium intensity, low-density residential, and a city zoning, county zoning of A3 transitional agriculture with the A attached for the airport height notification zone, to a city future land use designation of low-density residential and a city zoning of R2 single-family residential with an A attached for the airport height notification zone. The site contains approximately 0.32 plus or minus acres. It's located on the north side of Pioneer Trail between Main Street and North Glencoe Road. At the regular scheduled meeting on April 1st, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 6-0 to give a positive recommendation to the City Commission to approve the requested overall annexation. Staff also recommends the City Commission to approve the requested annexation, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, amending the future land use to city low-density residential, and a rezoning to city R2 single-family residential with an A attached for the airport height notification zone. And that's a brief summary of the staff report. Subject to any questions the commission may have.
Any questions for Mr. Mathan? Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate that. Public hearing is now open. If there are any citizens who wish to speak on this particular topic, please come forward and you'll be heard. Seeing none, public participation is now closed. We'll vote for these individually as we've done before. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2124?
I'll make the motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, the motion carries. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2224?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. Is there a motion for ordinance 2324 for its adoption?
So moved.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perine?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, 2324 has been adopted. Now we'll conduct a public hearing to consider the adoption of the following ordinances on annexation of property located on Oliver Drive. Madam City Attorney, if you'll read ordinance number 2424, 2524, and 2624 for the second time by title only, please.
Ordinance number 2424, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing 1 plus or minus acres of property located between Oliver Drive and Palm Drive, north of Tecca Drive, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 4, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 2524, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of 1 plus or minus acres of land located between Oliver Drive and Palm Drive, north of Tecca Drive, from Volusia County urban medium intensity to city medium density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Ordinance number 2624, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning 1 plus or minus acres of property located between Oliver Drive and Palm Drive, north of Tecca Drive from Volusia County R4A Urban Single Family Residential Airport Overlay to City R2A Single Family Residential Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Senior Planner Mason, we're ready for your report, Bob.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the property owner has requested a voluntary annexation, a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, and a rezoning from Volusia County future land use designation of urban medium intensity and a Volusia County zoning designation of R4, urban single-family residential, with an A attached for the airport height notification zone, to a compatible city future land use designation of medium-density residential and a city zoning designation of R2, single-family residential, with an A attached for the airport height notification zone. The site contains approximately 1.1 plus or minus acres. It is located on the west side of Oliver Drive through Palm Drive between Patricia Drive and Hazel Bishop Drive. At the regular scheduled meeting on April 1st, 2024, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 6-0 to give a positive recommendation to the City Commission to approve the requested overall annexation application. Staff also recommends the City Commission to approve the requested annexation, small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, amending the future land use to city medium-density residential, and a rezoning to city R2, single-family residential, with an A attached for the airport height notification zone. And that's a summary of the staff report, subject to any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Mason on this one? Commissioner Hartman.
Bob, can this be subdivided into 5 separate lots?
Yes, sir. There's actually 5 lots contained in this parcel.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Very good. Thank you very much, Bob. Now we'll open a public hearing. If there are any citizens who wish to come forward and speak on this particular topic, please come forward and be recognized. Seeing none, public participation is now closed. We will vote for these individually as we have previously. Is there a motion for adoption of ordinance 2424?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2424.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Breen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. Motion is adopted. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2524?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2524.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Breen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes, 2524 has been adopted. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 26?
Motion to adopt 2624.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Breen?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes. Okay, motions are adopted. This next one, item number 9J, is to conduct the second reading and public hearing of ordinance which adopted will authorize the City Commission to grant an exception from the city ad valorem property tax for up to 10 years for certain new and expanded businesses, calling a referendum from 5th of November 2024 to authorize exemptions. Madam City Attorney, will you please read the ordinance 2724 for the second time by title only?
Ordinance number 2724, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach authorizing the City Commission to grant exemption from city ad valorem property taxes for up to 10 years for certain new and expanded businesses, calling a referendum November 5th, 2024 to authorize exemptions, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. Our CRA Director and Development Director, Chris Edwards, is here. We're ready for your report, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for your time. Tonight, before you, ordinance 2724 for the existing city economic development tax exemption abatement program is really, in a nutshell, another tool in the toolbox. Whenever you are trying to recruit, whether they're domestic or foreign, some of the initial conversations is, what can you give me, or what are the options, what are the incentives that your community is offering? Typically with Team Volusia or any other leads, for example, I had a recent individual who is in the CRA and was looking for even additional incentives outside of the CRA for their particular redevelopment project. So new construction with cost and all of the other factors that go into site selection for companies. This is just another tool that we will have, and it is a strong performance-based tool, which is why we've had a revocation already because it requires companies to deliver on what they say they will bring to the table. So it's not a free-for-all. There are stringent criteria based on the level of capital investment and jobs above the average median wage. So those things are all factored in through the evaluation process before it even comes to the commission for consideration. And so when that company fails to perform, they do not continue in the program. And that is a successful program, and an area like Edgewater has seen some success. That's a good example. Boston Whaler was a company that started out about 700. They grew to about 1,300. So that's in our backyard. That is possible for New Smyrna Beach through aggressive marketing and finding the right fit. Obviously, with Deering Park and other initiatives that we are undergoing, those projects are going to need some help financially for those companies to make the final decision. And there's a process from the time that they initially expressed interest in your community to the time they actually decide on your community. And at the same time, you're competing against other communities who think their community is just as great as ours, and they are doing the very same thing that we are doing now, aligning incentive packages for those companies and industries. So that is generally the reason why we're pursuing this particular program, because currently we do not offer any citywide incentive programming. We don't have the product, we don't have the pad-ready sites oftentimes, and that does play a role as well in those decision-making based on leading site selectors and their criteria that they are hired by companies to do. So that is my report tonight.
Thank you, sir.
If
Yes,
I just
sir.
want to just add a few things from the past, so this way, back in 2010, we had a company wanted to relocate from Minnesota to this area. And I think we were competing with Palm Bay. And at the time, we didn't have any incentives to offer to this company to relocate to New Smyrna. And I remember at the time, he was asking, well, Palm Bay, they're offering, a tax, business tax. We offered at the time, I offered my services to do their site plan for them. So I think this is, even though it hasn't been used, but having this, the Deering Park coming up, I think if we want to incentivize businesses, I think we need to do this. I think we had one business, and I think we did it because of that business at the time, because we had nothing in the toolbox to offer them to compete with Palm Bay. So it might not sound, but at least you have it there in case if you need to use it. So thank you.
Any questions for Director Edwards? Commissioner Martin?
Just that, we've had it in place for 10 years. It hasn't been successful. So I have some concern about using our exceptionally valuable staff time to move forward with it. I would ask, if the other commission members do want to move forward with it, that the referendum be clear that we're using property tax to make this incentive proposal, so that anybody who is trying to decide whether to vote yes or no is saying, do I want my personal property taxes used for this incentive? And connect that to the community.
Commissioner Perry.
I have the same sentiments. We haven't used this in the last 10 years. Deering Park's going to be a ways out yet. I don't know how long. Can we look at this again down the road, or is it just because this is expired?
By statute, it expires in November. So extending beyond that, I guess I could defer to legal on that. Carrie, I don't know what. If beyond that, the statute limits, it's 10 years.
Yeah, you could take it up in a year and it'd be valid for another 10 years. You just would have that 1 year period where if any businesses came in, you wouldn't have that tool.
My other concern is our big push is on economic development, and it's to balance our budget. And the way we get that is to have the commercial and industrial come in, but if we're not going to get money from the taxes on it, what's the point?
Well, it is a time-limited program. So right now, our current criteria has a maximum of 5 years, and that really is a a huge span of time. So depending on the level of capital investment, the number of jobs, it would determine whether they would even get up to 5 years. In the case of the company that was revoked in 2019, they had a 3-year arrangement because it's how they scored. So it could be 2 years, could be 1 year, but the most you would be looking at is 5 years. And the trade-off for that would be jobs in your community, capital invested, and that you would recover that after that period of time. As far as the value of that would obviously go up over time with that property being there and then improvements being made and the jobs being retained.
Are they all 5 years, or can we do a 3-year program?
I'm sorry.
It's based on a formula, and they may not get 100% total exemption. Based on the formula, they may get 50% exemption for 5 years.
No.
And to Commissioner Martin's concern, this is not affecting anybody else's tax dollars. This is an exemption on new taxes they would pay on the improvement.
Any taxes unpaid increases the others' property taxes. So if I'm giving you a free ride, that means I got to pick up the slack with my taxes.
It doesn't work that way.
But well, they would still.
Well, how do you
All
explain?
right, let's have some order now. Ron, you finish, and then we'll have questions.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth around there. Anything else to that?
No, we assess a millage rate. The property owners have a property value. They pay a tax based on that, not what other people are or are not paying.
Commissioner Martin.
My point is, for example, if you, for some reason, do not have to pay the property taxes on your house, my taxes have to go up to provide the same level of service for you that I would receive. Somebody is paying, and so it is, in effect, putting the burden on the rest of the city because we are not getting the tax from that location. It doesn't suddenly, police and fire don't become free because you're in this program.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Hartman.
So with that analysis, then all of these people that live in the donut hole, the county residents who are within the city limits of New Smyrna, we're paying for their taxes also? Because they're not paying taxes to the city of New Smyrna Beach, but
No,
yet we
they're
offer
not,
all
but-
kinds of services. So what should we do with
Let's
them?
have order here.
I believe Volusia
Hang on
County-
just a second. Please. Just let's do it like we always do it. City Manager, you can answer that question? You got that?
Yeah, we provide that. We don't provide the services, but they use our roads. But we don't provide, for example, like police and some other issues. Like we don't issue building permits for them.
No, but you do respond police and fire, you all, through joint agreements, and you also pick up their garbage.
Well, we pick the garbage, but we get paid for it.
Right, so.
So we don't provide the service free. The interlocal agreement for the fire, that's a different story. I mean, so this way we respond if there is no closer unit to where the service needed.
Right.
So.
A few questions. Chris, rough order of magnitude, this has been in place for 10 years?
Yes, sir.
How many new businesses or expanded businesses have we brought into the city in the last 10 years?
We've had, well, in the last 10 years, with this program.
Not with this program. My question is simple. How many businesses have expanded or new businesses have you brought into the city in the last 10 years?
I don't have that exact number.
Rough order of magnitude. 10, 100?
We probably had about, if you're saying new, we probably had about 10.
So in 10 years, we brought 10 companies to New Smyrna?
I would estimate so.
Well, that's hurting. Why didn't you offer this to them?
Well, I wasn't here over those 10 years, but the program itself, like I said, during the time that it was first enacted, it was based on, actually, just to give you some historical context briefly, this program was born out of what the state called at the time the Qualified Targeted Industry Program, which is now dissolved at the state level, Enterprise Florida. And the goal of that program was really to try to give arsenal to the local municipalities and communities so that they could, whether it's the county or the municipality, could, technically compete against each other for a certain product if they had a certain square footage or building or footprint or pad-ready sites or whatever the case was. This was an extra tool, extra incentive for that particular company or industry to make a decision about one community over other. And sometimes it goes just beyond that. It can be a conversation about schools and a relational contact. It doesn't always come down to monetary as far as decisions with companies, in my experience. For example, I had a company once who was looking to come from California. They had a choice between the community I was in at the time and another community. The bottom line was they ended up choosing the other city because they got a police escort. All the other incentives were on the table. Everything was good to go. They went with the other city for that minor reason. So when I say basically recruiting companies has a lot more to do with the relationships established initially, the product that you're trying to sell, and what you're actually offering that company as far as incentives, whether it's qualified labor force, whether it's the right product, whether it's the right business-to-business transactions. They want to see how your local business environment is doing. So there's a lot of different decisive factors that play into that number, whether it's a low number or a high number. It has a lot to do with the circumstances that company may find themselves in when they're making their decisions. So I hope that generally.
I did not. There's a lot of good information.
Yeah.
My question is real simple.
Yeah.
Since you've been here, how
Yes,
many
sir.
businesses you brought in?
We had local businesses that are here.
How many have you expanded or brought in?
We have 3 businesses since I've
You
been
brought
here.
3 businesses
Yes,
in.
sir.
Why didn't they take advantage of this?
They didn't meet the criteria. There's certain criteria with this particular program that some companies don't come up to that capital investment number. They don't come up to the
So
job.
it's been ineffective. We haven't been able to attract them for this program. They either didn't qualify or they didn't want it.
Yes, well, in most cases, yes. In most cases, they weren't looking for an incentive. The scenarios for each company is different.
I understand that.
Yes, sir.
And I know that I'm on you all the time, but we got to generate more
Yes,
new
sir.
businesses,
Yes,
and
sir.
we got to expand, what have you.
Yes, sir.
So this doesn't seem to work, doesn't seem to be helpful. And I understand it's another tool in the box, but it hadn't been used. Second, the general fund's a general fund, and so residents are paying 90% today. I'm with the other commissioners on it. Somebody's got to pay the rest of that 90%, and if we want to give an exemption for 10 years, we'll never grow that proportion of 90-10, 90-10 to anything greater. So I don't understand. And if you haven't been able to offer it since you've been here as an effective tool to get people here, I don't suspect you'll be able to offer it in the rest of your tenure here to make it effective. So I speak against it. Anybody else?
So the timing of this was 2014. The conditions of New Smyrna Beach were very different. This was something that was brought to us, seemed like a good idea at the time. I think the argument or the fact that we haven't really used this is an example of how it has failed. And I don't know if the criteria just didn't fit for the kind of businesses that we had coming in or the businesses that were expanding. You know, we always talk about carrots. We need to give carrots, we need to give incentives for certain kinds of development. Well, this hasn't worked at all. This is a great example of something that just has missed the mark. So I don't particularly have any interest in continuing a program that has never essentially been used. We're not in the same market conditions as we were in 2014. I'm all for carrots, especially when we're talking about US 1. It's an underperforming business, and the reinvestment into it will greatly increase the property revenue. It's kind of like the CRA concept. I like that, I get that. But I don't have a lot of interest in renewing a program that has essentially sat stagnant for 10 years. So whether we look at something differently, that'd be great. If we're reintroduced to something that tries to accomplish this, but actually fits more in with the criteria of the kind of businesses that are coming in, or we change the criteria. But there's no point in having this incentive in the toolbox if it's never been used. Something's wrong with it. Thank you.
Knowing that the city attorney said we could pull it out anytime we want and restart it again gives me great comfort. So if it winds up being economic conditions change and we wind up having to use again, I know we can.
I just realized one correction I need to make to that. It is a referendum, so you would either have to do a special election or in 2 years have it on the ballot. So that's the only, not necessarily in a year, you'd have to get it on a ballot.
So it has to be voted on by the
Voters.
populace.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, any more, Chris?
Well, yes, sir. Let me just add to the comments received on it. It's going to be a little more difficult because we don't have product. We don't have citywide incentives, which I get asked about quite regularly. Small businesses even ask about incentives. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we have a lot of good retention and expansion projects in our community. But new, large-scale highways jobs, it's going to be a little bit challenging. We are competing against other communities that are a little bit further along with pad-ready sites, product, incentives. It will be a challenge, but it is a challenge we're up to.
Yeah, I don't want, I appreciate your words. I do not agree. You haven't used it, and so stop telling me that I'm tying your hands behind your back. It's not true. You're not using it now. People haven't used it in the past. And so I don't want to hear, okay, now we have a bigger hill to climb. Get all that other pad-ready stuff. Get all that other stuff going on. This is a great add-on, but that's not what is stalling our economic development today. Is the passing or failing of this particular item. That's my opinion. Thank you for your report. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Public hearing is now open. Does any citizen wish to speak on this item? Please approach the podium. You'll be heard. Seeing none, public participation is now closed.
Mayor, but truly in the interest of transparency, this is a referendum, so the citizens of New Smyrna Beach will be voting on this. You want to limit the vote to 5 people up here, or are you just going to put it on the ballot and let the citizens of New Smyrna Beach decide whether or not they want this incentive or not? It's up to Chris to use it once it's formulated. And I don't know how many times I've been told that we don't have any, at current time, even before Chris got here, we have nothing available for people to come and look at. You know, we don't have 15, 20 acre sites for commercial structures. Yet we're entertaining the idea of Innovation Park, which will open that door and be an option for businesses to relocate here. And so I think, to me, this makes a perfect common sense. But most importantly, let the citizens decide whether they want it or not.
So voting yes, it goes to the ballot anyway?
Yep.
And I would question, just as a voter, not as somebody sitting up here, why my elected officials would look at a program that has not worked in 10 years and said, oh, just for kicks, let's do it again. I mean, I would have a problem with that as a voter. There is time, money, staff. There's a lot of moving parts involved in getting it on the November ballot. And it hasn't worked for 10 years. What magic do we think is suddenly going to happen?
Well, if I may jump in, because I have to. We've been talking about economic developments all these years. These people, they come to Team Volusia, they come to us looking for sites to relocate. We don't have anything available for them. So how am I going to have economic development if I don't have a site to provide or a building for them? That's number one. Number two, the criteria for this to be used, if the business does not meet the criteria, he cannot just offer it.
I understand.
So now I have an opportunity for us. If we have this industrial park, and I hate to keep saying it, but at least if I have something to provide, this will be a tool in the box. It doesn't hurt. If I haven't used it, it didn't hurt me.
It doesn't hurt you, but frankly, it's scary to think about potentially opening a door to a lot of property taxes, commercial, industrial property taxes going unpaid because of this, while we still have to provide the services.
So let the voters decide.
But what I'm saying is most of the businesses, I remember talking to some of these, they want to relocate. The first thing they ask, what incentives do you have? So right now, basically I have nothing. I had this tax, this business tax. If this goes away, we got nothing. So if I'm a business owner, I'm relocating to New Smyrna, and City of Edgewater is providing this tool for me, why would I come to New Smyrna?
Just always keeping in mind, if it hasn't worked for the last 10 years, I am not sure what the magic button is to have it suddenly start working now.
I need some clarification from city attorney on how the referendum works.
So if you approve this ordinance, what that does is we send this language to the supervisor of elections, and it goes on a ballot, and then the voters decide.
Okay. So I agree with that aspect of it. It was a voter referendum. It needs to stay a voter referendum. I don't want to change that aspect of it. So, I think I said my feeling on the project itself needs retooling, but the voters need to determine this. I don't want to take that away from them.
Any other discussion? Vice Mayor?
The only problem I have with this is to try to get our budget to balance, and the comments that we haven't had land to develop. We've had the airport, and it hasn't been used for that. So a lot of good comments. I think we have economic development issues. I think the Deering Park is going to be an answer. Do we want to give free tax money? Not really, but I think that's got to come, like, stay on the referendum and let the citizens decide, not us.
Okay. Any other discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 2724.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Vice Mayor Preen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
No. All right. Motion carries. We'll go on to section 10, which is ordinances of first reading. Madam City Attorney, would you please read the ordinances for the first time by title only? The second reading and public hearings and quasi-judicial hearing will be conducted on Tuesday, May 28th, 2024.
Ordinance number 2824, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing 5.6 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Page Avenue, east of Trophy Hunter Trail, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 1, providing for public hearing, provided for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading public hearing will be May 28, 2024. Ordinance number 2924, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of 5.6 plus or minus acres of land located on the north side of Page Avenue, east of Trophy Hunter Trail, from Volusia County Environmental Assistance Corridor and Urban Medium Intensity to City Conservation, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be May 28, 2024. Ordinance number 3024. Ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning 5.6 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Page Avenue, east of Trophy Hunter Trail, from Volusia County RCA Resource Corridor and R4A Urban Single Family Residential Airport Overlay Zoning District. Residential Airport Overlay to City CA Conservation Airport Overlay Zoning District. Sorry about that. Providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Ordinance, second reading public hearing will be May 28, 2024. Ordinance number 3124, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach annexing 1.5 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Page Avenue, east of Trophy Hunter Trail, providing for redefining boundaries of the city,
designating the property within Commission Zone 1, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be May 28, 2024. Ordinance number 3224, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan. Changing the future land use designation of 1.5 plus or minus acres of land located on the north side of Page Avenue, east of Trophy Hunter Trail from Volusia County Environmental Systems Corridor and urban medium intensity to city conservation, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be May 28, 2024. Ordinance number 3324. Ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning 1.5 plus or minus acres of property located on the north side of Page Avenue, east of Trophy Hunter Trail from Volusia County RCA Resource Corridor and R4A Urban Single Family Residential Airport Overlay to City CA Conservation Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading public hearing will be May 28, 2024.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. We'll move on to Section 11, Boards and Commissions. We have a Code Compliance Board to consider an appointment of one citizen to serve a 3-year term set to expire on the 3rd of March, 2027. Madam City Clerk, your report, please.
Yes, good evening. There has been one vacancy on the Code Compliance Board due to the resignation of Robert McManus, and so our office has been trying to find a good candidate to fill that spot. I spoke with Mr. Denny's and the audience. He applied. He does have priority consideration as he was recently appointed to the CEEC, which was sunset. And so when we sunset that meeting body, I had sent an email out, and those candidates do have priority consideration. He is the only application that we did receive. He does meet the membership criteria and would serve in the role as businessman on the Code Compliance Board, so I do recommend appointment consideration for Mr. Denny's.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Is there a motion to appoint Aaron Denny's to serve a 3-year term expiring March 3rd, 2027 as a member of the Code Compliance Board?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Mr. Denny's, thank you for your perseverance of coming here and staying tonight. You're one of 2 lone citizens out there. We appreciate your willingness to serve. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Breen?
Yes.
Commissioner McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Congratulations to Aaron. The City Clerk's office will be in touch and send you official notification very soon. Thank you very much. On to Commission and the Mayor's reports. Let's start with Commissioner Hartman.
Attended the expo that the Chamber put on last Saturday. It was a fantastic event. They provided wonderful weather, as they always do on these such days. And it's interesting, it got busier as the day went on, so, it was not something that was a sudden hit and then gone. People continually just showed up, and I think they were extremely happy about that. I know there was one judge that was a little questionable about some of his judging, and he's ignoring me. But other than that, congratulations to Chief Feldman for his 5 new employees that he swore out on Friday. It's a rare occasion when you get 5 new police officers. So it was a special event, and they all look like quality individuals. Interestingly enough, one of them watching from the back looked just like my youngest son, and I'm going, what's he doing over here? Well, I certainly do appreciate all the efforts that him and his team has put forth in recruiting these officers, to get us back up to staffing, and we do appreciate that. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Go with Commissioner McGurk, please.
No report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Martin.
Just an interesting one from the SEV Advertising and Authority Tourism Week kickoff, where there were 2 great presentations, one on the economic reasons to become part of a worldwide accessibility program, meaning where you can use wheelchairs, where we accommodate the blind, where we do this, that, and the other. And I thought it would be valuable for us because they were able to provide very interesting statistics on the economics behind being part of this accessibility program. The other one was on ecotourism. And again, the economics behind supporting and promoting that. So it was a great meeting.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Perrine.
We had our audit kickoff evaluation committee for our city procurement process this week. And I just want to thank Janet Vivian. She did a wonderful job getting everything ready and set up for the outside team that came in. It was Ephraim and Bridget from Edgewater. And so that got kicked off, and we'll be working on that all summer. So I just want to thank staff for what a great job she did. I had a lot of questions, and she was able to answer everything. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Just a tip of the hat again to our city clerk for managing the youth council. Kelly, phenomenal job, and keep that up. That's the future of folks that'll be sitting up here for sure. And it comes at a great time. I understand it's National Municipal Clerk Week, so congratulations to you and your staff for being recognized nationally. I think that's awesome. We did attend an economic development planning session hosted by the Chamber, and we want to make sure that it's got some oomph, and so mayors and city managers from all the players in this got together to try to help the Chamber have great content and encourage maximum participation. We felt like that last year it was so powerful and we were so inundated that it was tough to get some traction. So hopefully Mr. Williams will take that aboard, and we'll have a great economic development session sponsored by their chamber coming up. And to the elected officials meeting yesterday, Volusia County elected officials meeting, and so a lot of great reports, not the least of which was from our emergency management folks. It talked about the hurricane season being upon us and an extra active hurricane season. Clint and Jim Judge really did a fine job. We're supposed to have, according to the various models, around 23 hurricanes this year, and 11 of them are supposed to be, let me restate that, 23 events, tropical storm or hurricane, 11 of which will be hurricanes and 5 of which they expect to be major. So it was a big deal. The 3 C's that Jim Judge and the team led by is collaborate, coordinate, and communicate. We think we've got a great county staff that interacts really, really phenomenally with our city staff, having watched those events take place. For all residents, all citizens, all businesses, expect an active season and let us be prepared. Lastly, the swearing in of 5 officers. I think that's the next to the last tranche before we're full. Always good to see the chief recruiting great talent. And as I understand it, there'll be very soon a waiting list to join the new Smyrna Beach Police Department. Certainly a first in many folks' tenure here. Congratulations, Chief, for leading the way. Madam City Clerk, do you have anything else in the report?
I wanted to thank everybody for their support with the Youth Council Task Force. It's good to see them up here. It empowers them with pride, which is my goal. It gives them self-esteem going out into the future. So I thank all of you very much. And also, I won't be at the next meeting. I'll be in Tampa. My son is graduating from Fire Academy. So one of the clerk staff will be here.
Congratulations. Wonderful. Madam City Attorney, anything for you, ma'am?
Just one update. So Airgate Aviation, the litigation continues. Airgate has retained an aviation attorney out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's sent a pre-complaint resolution request he would be filing a Part 16 complaint with the FAA alleging various violations of the grant assurances. So when we accept these federal grants, there's conditions tied to it that you'll follow all the grant assurance requirements. So they're alleging quite a few violations of that.
We do have to respond to this letter. However, prior to responding to this letter, I would recommend that we retain an aviation expert to review it and tell us our real exposure. I know part of, if we were found in violation, we would have a corrective action plan, and we would be working on that plan. Now, as for monetary damages, that's something I would need some help determining. So I'd be looking for, in any agreement that we would come to with any aviation expert, we would bring back to this commission, but I just wanted to let you know, we're gonna reach out to a few, see what we think, and I'll bring back something to you to see if we can get some evaluation of this.
Great. It's perplexing to hear that something that started in one direction has gone a totally different direction. In the beginning, I think it was about unpaid rent.
Correct.
All right, and now it's led to what the city has done, and if I read the letter right, it's dating back from Mayor McKay's.
Correct.
So this is nothing that anybody here in the room has had party to, I don't think.
Correct.
Okay.
It dates back quite a while, like possibly 20 years of complaints.
Roger that. Okay. Thank you for the report. Mr. City Manager, anything further, sir?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. One last reminder, we will not be meeting again until after Memorial Day. On the 27th, Monday the 27th, is a Memorial Day service sponsored by the VFW and the city behind the Brandon Center, 10:45 to 11:30, I think. Mr. Salazar has put together an amazing program. Please tell your friends and please turn out. Thank you so much. We're adjourned.
Don't we meet Thursday?
Yeah, I was going to say, see you again Thursday, Fred.
Oh, well, we won't meet for anything like we did tonight. It'll be pretty special.